Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome. I'm not muted. Thank God. I thought I was muted. Hello, and welcome back to the UKLC. We're getting ready to go into our second series of the day. This is London versus Enclave. We had a pretty good game. 2-0 win there for Resolve, but there was some signs of life. The last time these two teams met up, we had a 50-minute game. And when you hit 50 minutes, normally go, oh, no, it's slow and painful. It was slow, but it wasn't painful. It was painful in all the right ways. It was chaos. It was a circus. It was two clown cars crashing into each other and 30 clowns flying out. It was magnificent.
Well, that's a glass half full way of looking at it, I suppose. I would not. Yeah, no. Look, if you were here for League of Legends on that day, that game did not deliver.
Okay, if you are like Jamada,
if you were
high elo, you
wait,
are
whoa, high elo, whoa, I wouldn't go that far either. Look,
you're a lot higher elo than me, mate. You know, you play at a reasonable level. You like your analysis. You like being big brain about the game. Then maybe it was a little painful. But if you're like me, who sees flashing colors and gets excited, then it was fantastic.
You're like a child.
It was a bloody corker of a game of League of Legends.
It's like you're a child. You're in the car. You go through like one of the big cities, and there's just flashing lights everywhere. Just like eyes glazed over. Wow.
Did you ever used to do the thing where you'd sit in the car and you'd imagine someone running along the car or skateboarding along? Was that just me? I feel like
I did that. I did.
Okay, our producer did that. Okay,
yeah,
I'm not mad. I'm not mad.
They'll be doing like parkour and stuff. Yeah. Like they'll run up buildings and stuff.
I had a Tarzan theme for a while, or Spider-Man. I used to swing along the car. Just in my head. Okay. You just imagine.
Mine.
Our producer typed the same thing in. Wow. What a timeline. We're going to pick some bands. Speaking of Spider-Man, Camille's been taken off the board.
Oh, yeah.
Good transition. And then the Seraphine removed along with the Hecarim.
Okay, good. So we're seeing the Hecarim removed away from Cleanser. I think this is one of his strongest champions when he's on it. Actually, Enclave self-banning the Udyr. With the Hecarim gone, they don't actually want to go over that first pick. I think that makes a lot of sense. I wouldn't mind seeing London now remove away the Azir. I think that it's a really strong, powerful pick for Sykes, but they're actually going to go into the Yone ban, which strikes me as a little bit strange. We'll have to see if there's any particular reason for it, if the draft actually sort of shows us why that is the case. Thresh going to be removed away from Hepe. I think that makes a whole bunch of sense. So you've got loads of powerful picks open. Azir, Gragas for London would make the most sense. I think that you don't really want to give it over to Enclave. It's a very powerful comfort pick for particularly only Angel. But on the London side, I'm pretty sure we've seen all three of the roles be played by Mapillion, PFI, and Hepe. Pending confirmation on Hepe with the Gragas, but definitely PFI and Merp.
I just want to note the fact that the Kai'Sa is open. So is the Rel. You could look at a Rel Kai'Sa lane here for Enclave if they want to get himself a really, really solid bot lane. Things like the Nars open as well, but the Senna, again, a high priority AD carry at the moment. That's going to get picked up.
I wouldn't be sold on the set at the same time here. I think you'd really want to hold off on what you want to pair the Senna with, but it seems like they want to take it now. The issue is, as you highlight, the Senna, but I guess it is technically flexible. It's a flexible rotation.
You don't want to play set bot lane.
In this meta, the issue is, here's what we're likely going to see. We're likely going to see Kai'Sa and Rel come out from London. I think it's the most high chance bot lane that we see. And if that's the case, whilst the AD to AD matchup is fine, set absolutely. I want to find a word stronger than hate, because that's exactly how he feels about dealing with Rel.
Despises Rel, because for anyone who doesn't know, Rel's Q turns shields off, and what is Set's strongest ability? The massive shield he gets from Haymaker.
It's the Haymaker shield. So no reason for Hepe to not pick it. You've got the Gragas on your side. You've got the Thresh banned away. There's not really many counters left, but London actually they want to pinch away the Azir, which I can kind of understand in the scope of this game, just because of how preferable it is for Sykes to actually pick up. Now, hovering the Corki, don't turn this into a Corki Azir. We don't. I feel like even when it's a Corki Azir matters, we don't get it in the UKLC too often. So I would like to see a different pick. Cassio would be strange, but I think he's going to go back to the Corki. And all right, so we spoke about 50-minute games. We've got two carries in the mid and bot lane who are high late game. Okay. So
big thing to note, actually.
Yeah.
We haven't seen the Rel pickup, so I expect to see that banned.
Yes.
And in which case, suddenly that bot lane goes from like not so bad actually. For the moment, though, the Volibear going to get taken away for Enclave.
Okay.
So they're actually going to leave the rel open for another ban. They may just look to ban it in the next time round. But over on the side of London, they could just look to deal with things that, will have an okay matchup into this Gragas. So probably things like the
Olaf, you don't mind banning, I think. Well, here's the thing. Gragas can still go into the jungle, and for Enclave, they've not actually locked in their jungle. So I think you're better off locking in 2 jungle bans here. The Lily is the first one. I highlight the Olaf just because this is... We don't know whether it's going to be PFI on the Gragas, but he's played it so many times that to London, Gragas is synonymous with the word jungler. So we're going to have to actually see what second ban they come out with. Rel's going to be removed away from Enclave, which I think is probably the smartest ban they could have gone with here. And I think it's just going to be another fast-paced jungler. I think the Olaf is safe enough to ban, but it's on theme enough because they've got the Senna and the set there. So we'll have to see. They actually want Jarvan removed away, which I suppose is a champion I believe Cleanse has actually played. But Gragas has a positive time into the Jarvan, so it strikes him as a bit strange. So we should just see this Olaf be locked in. It's got enough support from the Senna. You've got enough backline dive from set 2. It's a little bit off theme with Corki, but you're not necessarily too fussed about that per se. It just could be a bit of a pain if Azir constantly has lane priority in the mid lane.
Okay, well, see what London look to round their draft out with here. Cleanser has gone for the Olaf. Thinking about what junglers are open. Obviously, the Gragas is there, so we expect that to potentially be the pickup. Actually, like you were saying, it's like you said a whole bunch of things. I took it in, then forgot about it in 20 seconds.
I think
expecting this Gragas to go in the jungle, unless they do pull a bit of a 180 here. Gonna lock in the Alistair. There's another good pickup with the likes of the Kai'Sa. I just feel like you could have held that Azir. I feel like you could have just gone for it.
No, so I think whilst obviously Ro is objectively the strongest champion, I think in the scope of this particular series, I think it's okay. I think it's fine. If it was another, if it was another team in the league, maybe a little slap on the wrist from me verbally I'll say no, it's silly. But Azir is a very powerful champion, and throughout all of the jungle bans, and us alluding to it being the Gragas in the jungle, we're actually seeing Skarner come out, but it's into Olaf. So it's like one of the worst matchups. So I'm not sure how I feel about it. It is going to mean that a lot of the members of Enclave, aside from the Olaf, are likely going to have to pay the QSS tax, which in a game which is likely going to be so dominant, or the item spikes are going to be the key thing. If you have to pay the item tax, right, that 1.3k gold for that QSS, it could set you behind or come an important dragon fight. So I'm not actually too opposed to the Skarner pick in the game, in the isolation, the microscope of the jungle matchup. Sure, it's not going to be great, but I think if you're delaying the likes of Corki hitting his second item, the Senna hitting the 2 item mark, even the Aatrox hitting 2 items is kind of impactful, though Aatrox really just spikes on 1 item. I think the Skarner pick's fine, but definitely can be dominated in some of the skirmishes by the Olaf.
Absolutely. And now, as the cookies are crumbled and we have finished the picks up, the champ select here. Aatrox in the top lane for Early Angel. It's a champion, and we do know he plays a lot of, actually. Let's make sense of these comps. What are they both looking to do? What are we thinking? Who do we think's kind of come out ahead here in the champ select? Or do you not think there is a team who's come ahead?
Ooh, it's kind of hard to say. I think I would edge it to London. I think things like having to pay off this QSS tax on the Enclave side could be enough to kind of delay Enclave to key item spike moments in the game. That being said, I don't mind what Enclave are running. It's a good answer into a lot of what London have. You've got the Corki for the Azir, of course. Corki eventually comes online and becomes an absolute monster. We've seen a lot of variation on builds. I'll have to see what Sykes actually opts for. I think it's been primarily a lot of the shield bow into things like either Bloodthirster or Essence Reaver for the Sheen proc. And then, of course, Senna as a champion does absolutely fine into the Kai'Sa inside the lane. She's got to worry about some of the diving threats from the side of London. So front to back, realistically, from both of these team compositions, really. Yeah.
I think team fights could be really exciting. I think there's a lot that you're going to be tracking in these fights.
Yes.
I don't think we're going to see any early, though, unless we do see another kind of chaotic bot lane start where everybody teleports down and you just get yourself a 5-on-5. But for the most part, I think it's probably going to be a little bit more chill. If you're Enclave, you kind of want that as well. You really want the Corki to get his items under his belt. Impulse obviously wants to be farming up the marks or the souls on Senna. So I think that's probably going to be the game plan for Enclave, is just try and stem the bleeding a little bit. And that's maybe, well, not stem the bleeding, but, you know, slow the pace down. And that's maybe where my concern on the Olaf is because Olaf likes to be aggressive early. And if your team want to play a bit more defensively, it might be a little bit rough on that front.
I agree. But we are here. We are on to Summoner's Rift. First game of the London Enclave series here, and hopefully we get a slightly more competitive series overall out of these two teams, as of course Resolve 2-0 over Eminem, if you missed that series and are just tuning in. First game, relatively competitive. Second game, not so much. So hopefully we see London and Enclave butt heads for the sake of entertainment. As they've still not fixed that Spectre. I guess we're still on the same patch, but obviously the Skarner Spire is temporarily invisible until somebody picks it up. As you'll see, Only Angel and Cleanser playing kind of defense to stop PFI from having that Spire available. Actually, on the other side, it looks like they're going to win out on both the Spires. As, boop, there you go, it's now visible to the spectator. Don't know why that's a thing, but it just is.
That's
It's a really strange bug. I've never.
Gold.
Yeah, and yeah, it's 20 gold to
It's 30
both
gold.
players. Is it 30?
Each.
Is
I
it
think
split?
It's 30.
I know the maths is kind of weird because I know the more people that take a Spire, the less gold there is actually overall. I don't think it's like just divided amongst people. So
What the optimal Skarner Spire take is then?
I could be speaking out of my backside though, so I don't. Somebody get Captain Flowers on the line. I'm sure you.
I don't think Skarner mains know what's going on, to be honest.
Maybe.
I think they're a bit like a Moo mains. They just kind of roll around the map and see what happens.
Yeah, I suppose. But have to see how PFI pilots the Skarner. I don't think we've had a Skarner in the UKLC, though somebody will correct me if we have. Definitely had a few hero there in the NLC.
Yes, we definitely had a few in the NLC. It's a pick that used to get picked up quite a lot into Olaf as well. Or Olaf into it. I can't remember what we're in.
Yeah, opposite way around. Because Olaf can cleanse away the suppression, so it just becomes really obnoxious. 1v1 at level 6. And not only that, Olaf kind of just demolishes Skarner pre-6 anyway. So much skirmishing and damage. Healing comes out from the Olaf. PFI, or Skarner, I beg your pardon, doesn't actually match that damage, unfortunately for him. The champion is just not designed that way.
There you go. So Trundle as well as the other pick that you do see into Olaf, but...
And into Skarner, actually. Trundle trumps both of them.
Yeah, true, yes. That's where it came from.
Yeah, probably.
I knew there was like a trifecta.
Yeah.
And Olaf came into the meta, and...
It would have been Skarner comes in first, and then Olaf comes in as an answer. And then above that, it's, as you say, it's a trifecta, right? Trundle just lays his club down in his lap and says, all right, guys, my turn.
It's me.
Yeah.
Troll man. But
it is I.
Funny enough, during that kind of gore drinker disgusting patch we had at the beginning of the season, we didn't see either of those champions come out as a counter just because Olaf was too strong.
Yeah, Olaf
and, because
honestly,
so
I think I think Trundle also was just in too poor of a position. I know Skarner got some buffs at some point as well, but Trundle as well. Just because there's nothing really going on. I played a Trundle game the other day.
Oh yeah.
Champion, he's not great for the jungle meta because well, I say for the meta, for the state of the jungle because there's no Mache, so it does slow down your clear. Your clear is quite slow in the early game, but you still absolutely maul through Olaf. Like, he cannot play the game in skirmishes. It's pretty unfun.
Trundle? I literally, I can't remember last time I saw. Actually, we did have a Trundle last week, I want to say, in the NLC at least.
Yeah, so I went down the chem tank route because, well, in my game I had a lot of damage dealers, so I didn't feel like it was necessary to go something like Stride Breaker or Gore Drinker. Though I'm sure there's plenty of options to go. Anyway, Trundle's not really a great champion. Probably don't play him until he gets buffed, which I know he's getting buffed soon. Only Angel takes a pretty hefty trade, and also Cleanser was taking away, I believe, the second spawn Gromp from PFI, so going to be a bit of an XP gap there. And Cleanser actually has a real nice linear path down towards the Dragon, which, if Enclave, yeah, thank you, Abzone. Not sure if you knew what I was going to say or not, but this bot lane, the wave is stacking into London, so they could actually sync this up with a pretty nice dragon take. That being said, there is a lot of vision in the river right now for Enclave. As the Skull's going to time out, so it's just the pink ward. So if Cleanser and the rest of Enclave want to crash this wave in sync, you could actually look for an early dragon take up, and there wouldn't really be much of a answer from London because PFI is already on this side of the map. Could be pretty interesting. See whether they go for it. But Enclave, up until recently, have been a pretty inactive team on the map. As London, looking to be the complete opposite of that. Gank coming through.
Yeah, they're looking for Sorex. Sorex has that shield if he can get it down in time. The heal's on, and he's actually able to flash away to safety. Teleports are coming in, and the fight looks to break out as Sykes is firing away. Everybody's in the alcove. And they're just going to wrap their way back around. But there's the pole. There's the engage. The healing's on. Jeppe is so he goes down finally. Only Angel gets first blood. And Enclave continue to charge forwards into London. So much used. And a massive, massive scrap here in the bot lane as Only Angel leaps in forward one more time. Then Boxy able to dodge away on the snare from Impulse.
Goodness me. 2 games in a row, we get a full-on 10-man in the bottom side. So let's get a look at how this all starts. It's London looking for this gank, and they jump onto Sorex at first. They CC him down, but the healing, the Haymaker shield really just keeps him so healthy. And Enclave, they answer in kind with double teleport. The teleports come down from London. It just becomes this kind of weird line of scrimmage until we see a nice headbutt pole onto multiple members of Enclave, but the damage is just returned back in kind by Only Angel, and he finds that first blood kill for himself on to the big cow. And honestly, everyone here was so close to level 6, I feel, that had Only Angel had, for example, the World Ender, that could have just been a reset fight, or even if the likes of PFI, Mapillion, anybody really had level 6, could have been a much different outlook, but no one actually had ultimates available to them. So that is just going to be the 1-0 in Enclave's favor, but on the backside of this play is going to be London picking up the dragon here. Not quite sure how the setup came about, but with so many members of Enclave resetting, you imagine that is
I think the resets
the
were a little off for Enclave. A massive wave got pushed into bot lane while we were there, so Sorex actually teleported back down to bot lane to catch a little bit of it, so to burn that summoner. Yeah, they had a good fight, but it was only 1 kill, and they weren't really able to translate it into too much as their health bars were a little bit too low. Cleanser steals away the blue buff, and that's actually really big for Beely. He hasn't got his Lost Chapter finished up yet. Yeah,
doesn't have teleport, and he's quite low on mana, actually, so very impactful blue buff still. Get that one? All right, nice.
Yeah.
I imagine he's just going to try and shove this wave in. Sykes not recalling on a cannon wave, so Beely is going to be able to shove this one out pretty quick and not really lose a whole bunch, whereas Sykes, depending on whether he has package, because it is 8 minutes.
Yeah,
I think he just picked it up. So he's actually going to make it back to this wave in time. Beely likely to just reset and come back out onto the map. But
now, there's one thing I'm not okay with about what Sykes just did there. Okay. We're 4 minutes until the next dragon comes up. He is going to have his package a minute after the dragon has spawned.
It's going to be a bit...
He will be out of sync on that. So if the dragon gets taken instantly by London or by Enclave, he'll desync. He'll be out of sync, basically. And you really want that package. But what he does have is package on the same timer as Rift Herald.
Yeah, so it's about a trade of gold, right? It really kind of depends. I won't use a big word like philosophy, but it is actually kind of just that how you view the game, which objectives you view as more valuable. In the early game, you talk about gold injections of Herald, it can, amount to a lot. You see a lot of teams, particularly SNG, were pretty big propagators of the playstyle and tricked in the summer split, where often they would give up the first 2 dragons, they would typically pick up the Rift Herald, and they would just trade so much gold every time that the opposite team went to commit for the first 2 dragons. And then by the time the 3rd dragon rolled around, they'd have such a big gold lead that the enemy team just couldn't actually contest. And they'll just win out on that alone. So we'll see if Enclave can actually replicate that style, as they've got the Herald and they've already got a big gold lead. PFI, though, is waiting in the wings to try and make this gank happen. Even Hepe is here, as I think was spotted out by Cleanser. Not going to be run out of the jungle, though. And that will just be that for now. So I do agree. The package being off sync with the dragon is definitely not favorable. However, if it can amount to larger gold leads, it's definitely okay.
Minutes on the clock, and double Noon Quivers onto Enclave right now. Sykes building towards what I assume would be the Gale Force in this game.
I mean, the Noon Quiver builds into like all of the...
Yeah, Noon Quiver builds into all of the crit AD items.
Yeah, so...
Gale Force is the one, right?
Where did the Herald get?
I think he accidentally pressed the wrong key there.
That's...
As it's top lane. I think he tried to ward, I'm assuming, and then forgot. But to be fair, only...
Oh, no, the tower's quite low. No, the tower's low. I think this is actually intentional. No. I think it's intentional.
Big brain play. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Cleanser. I'm sorry if I ever doubted
Yeah, we just didn't get a look at the tower. Merpillion's champion portrait was on top of it, so we didn't realize how much gold had been taken as Sorex is by himself underneath the tower here. On the opposite side, London, loads of tower gold being funneled into the Voxnay, but the gold lead has absolutely skyrocketed. A little over 2,000 gold. Some of it going to be made up here, but Enclave looking to engage, I think, on the bot side.
Yeah, they are looking for Den. He's caught out by the chains. The flash and the ulti has been burnt as the railgun gets fired. Den has to ult away to safety. The axe goes wide, and then Voxney able to survive with the heal, the flash, and the ultimate.
Yeah, real nice killer instinct, actually, to dodge out from more damage from Cleanser. Just using the CC target, Hepe had knocked up to actually taxi out of there, and that's going to be the end of that attempted engage. A lot actually sunk into this for Enclave. They're not going to have the railgun now available for this dragon, and Ragnarok, whilst it does have a relatively short cooldown, temporarily going to be off cooldown once this dragon actually spawns up. So we'll have to see whether Enclave will be taken advantage of here by London with some of these key elements being down. Looks like that is going to be the case. Hepe is actually unspotted.
Yeah, they're looking for him. They've got the Impale. Underneath the tower you go, Cleanser. No ability to cleanse that, but Only Angel comes in. The shuffle is back. The slam from Sorex is there. Yes, he's the haymaker for the shield. PFI gets the slow off with the crystalline shard and gets the kill. Only Angel pops Voxney though in the meanwhile. This is such a large Aatrox. PFI able to jump away to safety. Shepe loses a massive amount of health. The trade is 1 for 2 in favor of London, but London's health bars are just so low, and this tower is going to lose some plates. Sykes has the teleport available as well, if need be.
Yeah, Enclave, whilst they lose more members, they effectively win the fight. This is the start of the first play, and you see Sorex knocked up Sorex. Hepe knocked up Sorex, and that's how then Voxnay uses the killer instinct out. And Hepe actually just finding a really long-term flank, and PFI actually kind of misplays a tad. Using the E actually misses out, but still gets the Impale underneath the tower, and he's CC'd by Hepe instead to keep him under. No flash available to him, and Sorex just goes a little bit too far forward. The shielding keeps him alive for quite a long time, but once that stun comes forward, then Voxnay picks up the final lethal blow. But you see how big Only Angel is. Already has the Stride Breaker in pocket. Those sweet spot Darken Blades dealing so much damage. Then Voxnay not able to escape, so even though it was London picking up more kills, they actually lost out on the fight. And the dragon actually on the back end of that. So Enclave winning out pretty big. And honestly, I would love to see Only Angel just pivot right into a QSS right now on his next base. I think if he has that IM available to him, PFI is just not going to be able to play the game versus him. But speaking of not being able to play the game,
Only Angel doesn't have R, not yet. The teleports are coming in to try and keep him alive.
He has it now.
Finally gets that world ender, but he is getting shut down. Sorex looking for them.
Then Voxnay's dead.
The tower shots are doing enough, and Sorex about to get his ultimate back, about to find the slam, but he's impaled. He's held in place. The healing's there from Impulse as the railgun onto Shepe just about makes it out alive. Enclave trade equally.
Yeah, Enclave honestly trading blow for blow here. More than it feels like. Even though they lose 1 for 1, they lose out on Only Angel. I think Only Angel probably had a shutdown, so it's a nice sum of gold going back into the pockets of London. London, it feels like London walk out worse for wear. Either way,
it's a solid turnaround.
Yeah, it was a solid turnaround for Enclave here, and I want to say then Voxnay picked up that shutdown, though it could have actually been PFI. We'll have to see as he actually gets the evolve down for the Acafian Rain, so and Voxnay's on his way. We'll get the replay on our screens in a moment, so we'll be able to see who picked up what. As we're just talking about not being able to play the game, the World Ender comes up a little bit too late to actually return some meaningful damage and healing back into his pocket. So it's then Voxnay that picks up that shutdown. Facebreaker back underneath the tower. Enough to seal up then Voxnay. And honestly, Sorex, it feels like London were a little bit indecisive. They wanted to back away, and despite the Impale coming down, Beely doesn't actually return any damage onto a very low set, who realistically could have been bursted down. And then at that point, you would have been trading up at kills at the very least, but more focused on just escaping. Don't want to risk dying. As back to live, London had members on this top side, potentially looking for this Herald, as you have Sykes on the bottom side. Sykes has opted into the shield bow, so this is why I believe Magifelix in the LEC has been picking up item-wise when he's been on the Corki. From here, though, I'm not entirely sure where the item build will go. Obviously, he's got the tier in his inventory, so Manamune will be on the cards. But what exactly he wants is kind of his choice. We'll be very curious to see what it is. I imagine it will be the Essence Reaver, though.
That is a more interesting gold graph than we had in the last game.
Yes, it is.
A bit more up and down, a bit more rocky. It looks like a mountain range for a steady decline.
Yeah, I agree.
We are seeing Enclave starting up this Rift Herald. Denvox is in the area, and only Angel's been spotted out by Jeppe. Herald secured by Cleanser, only pops the ulti to get away from the movement speed. Now PFI chasing in, got the impression, got the Impale. And that is Denvox securing himself another kill. Killer Instinct not available, so Cleanser is safe. And only Angel was in a very weird position there in the enemy jungle, getting caught out.
So not only was he in a weird position, you see the item in his inventory, the yellow and green one. That also happens to be the same price as a QSS. Imagine if he had that. Now, London, they're going to be able to take down this tier 1 tower. Enclave don't really have much of a response to this, so there you go, that's gone, and should just see a reset come out, and London could have a pretty favorable setup for this dragon potentially, though with Enclave out on the map, they could look to try and set some vision down, but looking at their inventory, they don't actually have any wards in their inventory at all, so it's going to have to be resets coming out for particularly Impulsors, of course, technically the support in this game. We'll have to see if Corki also has package waiting in base. I'm actually unsure. If he doesn't, then...
I didn't see if he synced it up after the last dragon because we were in a...
Okay, he's got it. Yeah,
so
he's got it.
That's big. As long as he doesn't pick it up immediately, 40 seconds until that's up, is looking to reset now. Obviously, you got that shield bow, so actually didn't go for the Kraken Slayer or the Gale Force like I initially thought. Obviously, this does give him a lot more survivability and a bit of pseudo-tankiness as well in the build. Got the Warhammer as well in the inventory, so expecting this to be turned into an Essence Reaver.
Yeah, I mean, it goes into the Manamune too, so he's probably going to be finishing that one up first.
Yes, you're right.
As London, they have priority, as it was Enclave had to reset second, but with the package and Herald, they are Enclave substantially scarier to try and hold in this mid lane. We'll have to see how things go down.
Yeah, the force is coming in. Herald does turn his back to Peely and London, but is going to distract them long enough, though no charges coming out, however.
Now, this is the scary part for London, though. Walking forward into a Corki with package. They know where only Angel is, though, so they're not going to be caught off guard by that flank.
It's PFI. He's going to Hex Flash over the wall. There's the package drop, and it's Sorek caught out by the Impale. The railgun is massive. And the Angel getting pulled back, and it's PFI who's on the menu. Impulse secures the kill, and the Dragon will be the prize for Enclave. Question is are they going to contest any further? It looks like the answer is going to be no. Only Angel, good dodge on the Void Seeker, but Merp's getting into belly bop range, finds himself the CC, so the Void's starting to stack up. But now with the Stride Breaker, Merp has to flash back, but the Face Breaker will pull him in and find himself that kill. Another one for Enclave and the Dragon.
Yeah, it's a really big fight for Enclave there. Just too many trading tools in the back pocket. With that Herald, I don't know if you technically classify package as a trading tool, but it's certainly a very scary one to deal with, as Sykes actually used the package to dodge away from the headbutt Pulverize, and PFI Hex Flashes on top of the package, and you can see, even though he's moving really fast, he's got Phase Rush. He was on that package for way too long, just burns down to that empowered Valkyrie, and see here, Merpillion just getting a little bit too antsy. Doesn't recognize Enclave are on their way back out from the river. London have to run away, tail between legs, and Enclave went out big on that trade. They're up 2,000 gold in a game like this where you've got so much scaling and the teams want to do effectively the same thing, making it to these item spikes first at these critical timestamps where these objectives are coming up really do make the difference. So we'll have to see. I mean,
beautiful farm by Holy Angel, by the way, catching all of those minions under tower. He's got himself a 50 CS lead over Merp right now. You can see the gold between these two members as well.
Okay, that's
astronomical.
Look, that's nice and all, but when's he getting his QSS? That's all I'm saying. All right, I'm
waiting. Derek's.
I mean, at this point, he's so
got
strong.
Stride Breaker, so he's got a bit of survivability. I would like to see that QSS because he typically is the one getting focused, and Impulse is actually really hard to catch if you're BFI, and same for Sykes because of the slows and just the range that both of these champions have. Well, not the slows on Sykes, but the range for Impulse has and the slows he has from the Glacial Augment actually makes him really hard to deal with. So I would like to see a QSS come out from Only Angel because he is most likely the target of this love on the Scorpion.
Yes, he likely will be. He can't really ult onto Olaf often. Impulse already has a QSS in his inventory. Sorex, whilst he can be a pretty valid target, if he's not burst down within the time, he often will probably be able to escape. And Sykes, if he does have the package, he'll be fine. But it's more about not trading flash for flash.
Impulse is now harder to catch as well. He's got a QSS in his inventory, so he's now ready to deal with PFI. And yeah, there is this QSS tax, and yes, that will slow down Enclave, but they are up in gold. And it's about to grow even more thanks to this tower going down. So the QSS tax, it's going to sting, but it's not going to sting as bad. And it's also going to sting PFI.
Isn't Skarner technically the one stinging people? Yeah, before. All right, I'm gonna leave that joke right now.
Has Skarner got big claws or?
He's got you know.
Because the way you tell a scorpion and how dangerous it is by the size of its claws. If it has big claws, it's actually not as poisonous. Oh, that's not a poisonous scorpion. He has big claws. Because if they have little claws, they don't use their claws to kill. They use their venom. But if they have big claws, they use their venom to like slow down or neutralize. I can't find the word for it in my head right now. But they use it to impair. There you go. They use it to impair their prey and then use their claws to kill. That's how you can tell the difference between a deadly scorpion and a non-deadly scorpion. It's the claw size.
Well, they both sound pretty deadly to me, to be honest.
If you're an insect, sure, the big claws is deadly.
Well,
if you're a human, big claws are not that deadly. I mean, you don't want to get stung by one. You're probably going to be pretty ill. But you won't die.
And whilst we're on the topic of Skarner, I had a messenger pigeon come in near the start of the game, which I forgot to bring up because we've had relatively paced action. So the Spires, we was talking about the Spires. The Spires give 15 gold. Any more than that shares 30 between them.
So I did see 30 gold at the beginning of the game.
Yes, I believe you do. And that is from Doctor. Thank you very much for the Skarner insight.
Oh, we don't need to give him a shout out.
Oh. Just being kind.
I'm not. Anyway, the tower will get erected here in the mid lane. That'll just slow down Enclave a little bit, but they are pretty quick at taking out these Azir towers, providing London aren't defending them, mind you. We've got 14 seconds until this dragon's up, so this is actually a really nice time to put that turret down. Really slows the advance of Enclave into this area and actually forces them through the jungle. So I like this from London. Don't want to let that third dragon get picked up, but the problem they have is Only Angel's pretty terrifying right now, and with Impulse healing with a Q, means he's pretty comfortable going for these trades. Has the Deathbringer stance up as well, so we'll heal up a little bit from those auto attacks. As the barrel's going to slow the members down for the moment. There is a black wall, and they're going to pop it. They're going to look for this. The tower's getting thrown out. There's the charge. There's the railgun. The dragon is there, but the health bars on Enclave are just doing nothing. Is London losing all of their health, and they're going so low. Billy has to flash away. Only goes for the interruptants and then there's a flash. The Infernal Chain pulls him back. And it's 3 kills for Enclave. It's a dragon for Enclave, and it's going to be the Baron.
Yeah, then Voxney doesn't flash parallel to his position enough, and he's still actually in the Infernal Chains, gets pulled right back over the wall. First the Killer Instinct into the wall, and then the flash. Not far enough, and honestly, Enclave, front to back, are just not killable. The Kai'Sa, the Azir, they're not online yet. And that's just how it is as Beely and Merpillion impulse very low, but
here comes
the only Angel turning this teleport
he
too.
Is so large right now. Baron gets stopped in the teleport from Zorex. Merp's going to get pulled in by the face breaker. Belly pops to safety. They do still have that showstopper available to Zorex. Actually, they don't, so that's enough for Merp to get away. And now Impulse getting chased a little bit by Jeppe, able to get into the Curse of the Black Mist and swim away to safety. And now London, they actually could be in position to contest this Baron as Enclave are going to be forced into resets. They've got a lot of gold from that team fight and that dragon to spend.
Honestly, Enclave, though, looking terrifying in these team fights and just kind of opening through the front. I did allude that it was kind of a front-to-back team fight composition, but in my head at the same time, it's like they can kind of dive well, but you can see they're just melting the frontliners of London here. You see Jeppe not able to do anything. Skarner not able to even cast his Impale before he drops, and the remaining members of London not able to actually escape. And you see just face plants with the Killer Instinct, tries to flash over the wall, but again, not parallel to his position enough. Doesn't actually escape the chain pull range, and Beely comes back in here with Merpillion, and it's just enough to pull Enclave off of this Baron. Teleport comes down from Sorex, and it's just a nice disengage. Merp doesn't actually die. Very fortunate for him, but London being pressed pretty hard here. Very hard. 4,000 gold down.
Yeah, they really are.
The way that team fights have gone, and actually BD's gone for the Luden's Echo. I don't know if I agree with this itemization.
Yeah, into that comp actually, the Leandries, it's quite nice able to deal with these kind of tankier members.
I think you're okay with that Leandries. Yeah, you got percent burn, percent penetration.
Does have the blighting jewel, so there is a bit of penetration there, along with the
it just seems like such a strange itemization.
Sork boots, and obviously the passive bonus from Leandries as well once you get your mythic starting to build up. But yeah, I think Leandries' percent burn is much nicer here. Collector and Gale Force and the Mortal Reminder onto Denvoxney. 82 stacks on Impulse as a quick update. He's got the Rage Knife, he's got the Kraken Slayer and a QSS. Sykes has also finished up his QSS and his Mirror Mana. I'm assuming Only Angel's Nil Magic Mantle will be becoming a QSS.
Yeah, I've got to say,
gold.
Whilst we're talking about Only Angel's itemization, not the best Death Stance pickup I think I've seen. You're effectively dealing with 4 magic damage champions in total. Whereas Death Stance, for anybody that doesn't know, only actually blocks out physical damage now. And you heal back the damage. I mean, I think you heal back all of the damage, though it could actually just be physical damage you've taken over the last 5 or so seconds on takedown. So, you know, not sure I like the Death Stance here. PFI could find a pull-in, but not quite quick enough onto Sorex. So, you know, that could have just been a Spirit Visage, and then you become way tankier, you get a lot more healing, and then you can finish the QSS if you want. But, hey, Death Stance is the choice of item. As kind of across the board, everyone's picked up their mythics. We're way past that point. Everyone's at 2 items. London are...
They are looking to start this one. Sorex will spot them out, though. Any moment now. Jeppe jumps over the wall. Ooh. Only ready and waiting to go for the teleport. It fires it instantly into that Baron pit. Baron's going to heal up and reset. And the Angel clears over the wall. And Dragon spawning up in a moment. Enclave actually not willing to fight. They'd rather try and get this Dragon. Sykes should go back to base and get his package fairly soon as well. And if this Dragon gets picked up for Enclave, it will be their Mountain Soul. Gives them a lot more resistances to work with. And that shield.
Yeah, and not only that, there is so much shielding already available to almost everybody on this team. Having to deal with a Mountain Soul shield is just going to be really ridiculous. And we saw at the last team fight, I don't know the fight HUDs here. Who's it going to be? Only Angel does it!
Only Angel gets jumped up too. They do pull one in. Here's the railgun for the shield. The Corky's on the way with the package. The shuffle's back. And this is London getting their kills onto these Enclave members. The health bars are low. Sykes caught out. Uses the package to get away safely as Cleanser is low health. Sykes is also chunked out heavily. And London find their perfect opportunity while Sykes wasn't about to find the punish onto Enclave. And this will be their second Dragon.
Yeah, it's going to be the second Dragon. So important that they've denied this one away, because what I was about to say before we had that fight come up was we saw the previous Dragon fight where Enclave just walked through London. They were not able to take down the front line. You add more mountain resistances and that shield on top of that. Good luck, London, trying to win out in those fights. But they've finally taken the second dragon. They've denied away that soul. They're onto Baron. I don't know about this one. This smells like a flip. I feel like London recognized that too. Just going to leave the big purple worm alone. Yeah, they're limit testing, but they're going to lose out on their mid-tier 1 tower. So
I finally, 30 minutes into this game, and Enclave finally take this tier 1 tower down. It's been actually a really solid defense from London on that front. Obviously, Azir, so solid at clearing these waves. Got the Void Staff finished off as well now. So yeah, we'll finally be able to take that down. And Only Angels, No Magic Mantle became a Spectre's Cowl, so decided not to go QSS yet. Wanted a bit of magic resistance, and yeah, I mean, you saw he just got melted through in that last fight.
Yeah, yes, he did. It's okay. I'm not going to complain about it anymore, guys, but
does have Merc Treads, so a bit of tenacity to do.
I mean, so here's the thing. He's probably got the tenacity rune as well, so he's going to have, what's the number when you've got both of them together? The total.
Oh no, he has attack speed.
Get the camera from observer. I'm thoroughly disappointed in my former top laner. Why would you run attack speed on it? A different conversation for another time. Because London are on Baron again, and this time it's a lot sneakier. Enclave, honestly, they're so slow to this. It might just, it's gone.
Yeah, it is absolutely done so. The Hex Flash, the Smite, Fear 5, make sure his team do get that. And Enclave, it was a solid start to this game, and the last few moments have just spiraled for them out of control.
Yeah, just caught
London did a great job of getting himself back into this game.
Absolutely agree. Absolutely agree. Just complete control of the top side jungle. Enclave haven't actually done much in terms of setting down vision in that top side. At least shallow enough vision to at least recognize, hey, these guys are not in our jungle. They're not showing in any lanes. They've got to be somewhere. And it pays with the Baron. Sykes is pretty strong now.
Yeah, but he's only 2.5 items. Ascana tax is really hitting now.
Yeah.
Or 2.5 if you count the QSS. Yeah. It is really hitting when you look over at Beely. 3 items, got the Morella Nomicon, so that's as much Grievous as he can get as well. The bonus Grievous from the full item. Got the Void Staff, got the Leandries.
It is.
You know, you get health and I think a bit of damage is your second thing on your shield bow.
Yeah, it's
and only one of those items is getting your mythic passive right now.
Yeah, it's 5 HP, 50 HP, 580 per item.
At 5 HP, that item would not even be worth it.
Yeah, but also one thing to know, of course, Beely's itemization choice, much cheaper than many other mage build paths. Actually, no, mage items are pretty cheap this season. So, you know, only 2,500 for both the Morello and the Void, coming up to 5k total. So, him sitting at 3 items is pretty easy to achieve, considering he's not really been starved of farm.
291, not at all. Baron Siege is now starting up for London. And Enclave feels like they've not really got the options to deal with this as Impulse swims down in the Curse of the Black Mist. And the Angel's holding this top wave, but he can't deal with the cannon. He can't get close to it because of Beely gatekeeping, and this tower will finally fall down. A massive wave shoving in the top side, so Enclave won't be able to push into their tier 2 in the top side. Looks like they're going to take these 2 towers, and now they're starting to extend the gold lead. The gold lead is equal. I say extend the gold lead, claw the gold lead back. The gold lead is now equal between the 2 teams. 200 gold, completely negligible. We can see the gold differences between the players, though. Look at that top lane. He's 5k gold up.
And I mean, on the flip side, you're looking at Only Angel. I was expecting that. I'm looking at Den Voxney against Impulse / Sorex, who currently sits at 16,000 gold. So, our man Den Voxney, he's pretty scary. Got the Lord Dominic and the more reminder as well. Yeah.
He's always like, oh, I didn't realize Den Voxney's really fed. Yeah, that's just how he plays.
Oh! I thought that was
like we might be seeing Beely teleporting into the mid lane.
Yeah, I thought that was a red teleport. Really deep.
Yeah, for a minute I thought when the zoom came in, we got baited there. But Dragon's up in 7 seconds time. This is soul point for London or soul for Enclave. So there is a desperate struggle for this. Sykes this time is here. That's the difference. He's got the package. Although Impulse, making sure he gets the Skarner Spire.
Enclave is separated.
Only Angel's coming in on the flank, but will be spotted out by this pink ward if he moves over. Spotted by that ward in the blue buff. And both these teams looking to contest this as much as possible. The Dragon gets started up. The Curse of the Black Mist is thrown out just to buy a little bit of space. They were looking to get the kill onto the Gragas, and that might just be the kill. The slam from the Showstopper is there. Sykes already packaged, timed out. Impulse forces the flash away. Cleanses low HP, but he's not going to go down today. Only Angel, the shield is popped, but he is still alive. Beely's trying to put this extra bits of damage in, but London's health bars are low. The teleport's
on his way back.
in, but Enclave, they have a little bit of healing, but not a lot. Now they're having to go for Sorex. He wants to reset. He wants to rejoin. He's not able to, and that's the killing spree for Denvoxney. This is the Dragon for London, and now London are getting jumped onto. Denvoxney flashes over the wall, gets himself the double kill. Impulse next up on the menu as they find themselves the triple. Impulse goes down. That's the quadra kill. It's a kill for Denvoxey.
Denvoxey's gonna round out this game with a pentakill on the Kai'Sa. Not the first time we've seen him pop off so heavily. Not the first time we've seen him get a pentakill on this Kai'Sa either. And this should just be London ending the game on that fight. Enclave were not able to keep up with all the damage. A little bit too disjointed in that fight. Despite Merpillion being the one that actually steps too far forward, he doesn't drop, and that's the key thing. He's able to teleport back in on full HP and re-engage the fight for London. And they're just going to end the game off the back of that. That's going to be game one going over to London.
Once again, Denvoxey silently gets fed, quietly gets fed. Sliding into that fight, and 11-3 at the end of the game. He had an absolutely stellar showing on the Kai'Sa. That's why we saw it banned for the entirety of the first series. Champion is incredibly strong, and Denvoxey piloted that really well. Solid fighting from him, and a really good game one. I think both teams showed a lot of strengths. I think London do have to be a bit concerned about their mid game.
Yes.
Enclave definitely had a much stronger mid game. But Enclave, they need to look at what went wrong there, because that was... they really let that game slip out of their hands, and it felt like they should have won that. It really did feel like that was Enclave's win, but London, I have to give massive props to you guys to be able to pull that back. I mean, Denvoxey's gold lead, like you said, was huge. He was almost full build at the end of that game. Really big stuff. Now, guys, we're going to throw to a quick break, and when we're back, we'll have a little bit more of a talk about that game, so we'll see you in a second.
If you wanna find love, then you gotta have faith. The world is on your side. The world is on your side. If you wanna find love, then you got to have faith. The world will be your guide. The world will be your guide. No, I don't care. No one can tear you down. We'll lift you up. It's about here and now. You're gonna find love. Yeah, you're gonna be alright. Love like Bunny and Clyde, love like right till we die, down like thieves in the night. Love like Bunny and Clyde, love like right till we die, down like thieves in the night. If you wanna find love, then you gotta have faith. The world is on your side. The world is on your side. If you wanna find love, then you got to have faith. The world will be your guide. The world will be your guide. No, I don't care. No one can tear you down. We'll lift you up. It's about here and now. Yeah, you're gonna find love. Yeah, you're gonna be alright. Yeah, you're gonna be alright. Yeah, you're gonna be alright. Ain't I mistaken? I've been here before. All my body is aching, shaking to the core. Wherever you go is a heaven, 724. Now don't go be misbehaving, but I'm craving a little more. Can't keep my thoughts inside, don't want no place to hide. Can't get you off my mind, all night and day. You always played it cool, oh but I ain't no fool. I know you feel it too, so what do you say? Well, I'ma give it a try. Maybe. Don't let the summer go.
The last time these two teams went up versus each other, it was a complete snore fest. This time, it looks like they both had their coffee. That was such a fun game. And I mean, we could talk all hyped about the way it got to at the end with that big pentakill on Denboxy, but I think we need to talk about everything leading up to that because it was a close game. It was a very close game.
Yeah, it was very close. It was back and forth. London definitely fell behind quite far to Enclave. Only Angel really just got so fed, and this was such a nice poll to give London an opportunity to actually come out ahead in this fight. But it's actually only Angel, the man who was keeping Enclave's dreams alive in this game, and it wasn't quite able to pull it off, picking up the first blood. And it was kind of just skirmish after skirmish, honestly. Then Voxney, nice killer instinct usage there off of the CC Sorex to dodge away from any more damage in the railgun, and forced gank here from EFI ends up actually working in London's favor, I believe, but Enclave, I want to say off the back of this fight, actually just reclaimed territory on this side of the map, picked up the dragon either way. So even when Enclave were losing, they were still kind of winning, but eventually it turned into a scenario where London just, in these team fights, started demolishing Enclave slowly but surely. It was a very strange situation. It's not something that you often see where you have such a big gold lead come out, and you see, particularly at the third dragon, I believe it will be after this clip, the dive on Only Angel, where it was just so one-sided. Only Angel here, if he had World Ender any earlier, likely would have survived. This is a nice face breaker, of course, to keep them boxing 8 underneath the tower and dead.
Yeah, honestly, really, really stellar stuff there in this game. I do want to highlight, though, Enclave were ahead. Enclave were on Soul Point. Enclave were picking up Rift Heralds back to back. Enclave were winning team fights. And it just got to the point where London punished Enclave on a few mistakes. And I think one of the biggest punishments is the one which you highlighted as your play of the game. Guess what it is, guys? Let's bring up Jamada's drawing board section.
I was gonna pick something else, but I would almost feel wrong, right? To my core to not pick the pentakill.
I just want to highlight that he was picking something else, and I went, how can you not talk about the pentakill?
Look, so I just wanted to have something a little more analytical, that's all. So the belly bop lands onto two members here on the bottom side, and Merp, during this fight, I'm saying, Merp, what are you doing? But he manages to get the cast down on the back line, or at least on to Impulse, and it knocks him quite far away. And on the top side of our screens, I'm slowing it down because there is a lot going on. Sorex is buying some time, whilst Only Angel is also healing up. The railgun misses out on Merpillion, and Merp gets to recall, and that's the key thing here. As now, then Voxney starts to go a little bit unchecked, and the Impale comes down onto the Aatrox. He's going to get burned pretty low, but not actually die. The Sterax shield, the healing, everything else, the mobility, enough to keep him up. But once Merpillion comes back down into the fight's kind of reset in a pretty unfortunate way, where now it's actually London with the health bar advantages, and Enclave, they're forced to stay, try and pick up this dragon. Cleanser, he tries to get into the dragon pit, but at this point, it's now a 4v5 where the health bars are way too damn low for Enclave to really have anything to say about it. Then Voxney picked up the first kill. We have Only Angel actually bleeds out to the death stance for the third kill. Then Voxney runs down Impulse for the fourth, and then unfortunately Sykes isn't able to get away for the fifth, and then Voxney goes untouched, doesn't actually have to use the killer instinct defensively or aggressively during the first portion of that fight. So he's got it available to hop over that wall from long distance to actually close in on the retreating members of Enclave and just wipe himself a pentakill.
Beautiful, beautiful play. I mean, we had a look at the gold before, and both Impulse and Sorex had 9,000 gold each. And I think that Voxney had like 16 or 17,000.
Yeah,
he was so far ahead of both of them combined. It was genuinely amazing. Really, really good stuff there from Den Voxney. Being able to turn a game around. I mean, we had a little chat with some of the guys over at Esports News UK, and they asked us for our MVP for the season. I did actually vote for Denvoxney because I think a lot of the time where London have looked down and it's got late into the game, he has been a defining factor in their late game team fighting. He is so good at just kiting and like having everything thrown at him and just carrying the fight from there. That game, he didn't have anything thrown at him at all. He was just left unchecked, and he was just able to free fire off in those team fights. And that's what happens when you don't deal with Denvoxney. So I think going into game 2, Enclave need to look at bot lane and they need to figure out what they're going to do about that, because you can't just go 35 minutes into a game and not do anything to Denvoxney, because the dude would just mow you over. Like he's way too strong at that.
It is the play style of London, right? They've consistently put them up on typically weaker sided champions like the Scraggers, for example. And we've seen a lot of the focus actually go down into the bottom side, whether it's execution or whether it's just outright, just vision. Just vision on this side, so then Denvoxney can play untouched, unchecked, as we say. And this is what happens. So Enclave, as you rightfully highlight, they have to find some kind of answer into Denvoxney. Otherwise, we could just see another game where goes untouched, goes unchecked, and come these late game team fights, he will just take over.
Well, with that, we are getting ready to go into our second game of this second series. But before that, we do have to throw to a quick break. Sorry about that. See you in a second.
Falling further, only time will tell.
Ain't I mistaken? I've been here before. All my body is aching, shaking to the core. Wherever you go is a heaven, 724. Now don't go be misbehaving, but I'm craving a little more. Can't keep my thoughts inside.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the UKLC. We're getting ready to go into our second game of this series, and London with a massive flip must be having some real confidence in themselves. Now, lanes are staying the same. Side selection. There we go. I promise I can do my job. Side selection has stayed the same. London are on the blue side, Enclave on that red side. So no changes from the last game here. Again, Enclave with the team that got to choose, and they chose red side. So a bit like our M&M versus Resolve game. We'll see what gets changed here in the Champ Select. It was a very different Champ Select from what we've seen in the games versus Resolve and M&M. AD carries were kind of not as high priority. No, AD carries were high priority. It was supports, I think, that got ignored. Like the things like the Rel.
Yeah, it was more or less the supports in the draft that kind of waited until the final phase. And I mean, even in the second phase, with only London had to pick one support, it was only the Rel that was banned away. Everything else was left up for London. So we'll have to see what kind of adaptations come through, because on the side of London, I'll be honest, I don't know, it's kind of weird because it's a fine draft, but at the same time, you have to kind of ask some questions of like the Skarner pick in isolation, at least. Because you could very, very quickly see that because Aatrox went so unchecked in the Gragas lane, which is a much better lane for Aatrox, the Gragas, than sort of any other blind pick that Merp may have pulled out. Only Angel nearly carried the game off the back of that. So that has to be something that London actually have to consider. Because whilst, yes, the Skarner eventually did have value, it almost came at the cost of a snowball from Enclave via only Angel on the Aatrox.
Yeah. Well, teams are in the lobby, so we should be getting into Champ Select any moment now. And then we'll get going with this game, because honestly, I just want to get going. After that game, off that first game, I really want to get going. This was such a good game. That first one was amazing. Enclave getting ahead, getting behind, then Voxy getting a pentakill at the end. The team fighting was explosive the whole way through. So I hope we do get to scrappy team fight teams again. And we don't just go for 1-3-1s and early game scaling snowballs. I want scrapping, I want fighting, and hopefully we should get on that, to be honest, as London have been typically leaning towards team fighting, even though they typically do it later than other teams in the league. They do like team fight.
As the weeks have gone on, they've actually been a little bit more active in skirmishes sometimes. It feels like earlier on. That being said, the 50-minute game may speak otherwise. So I actually think they were pretty
on Sion. That's all I think of.
It was
the darkest timeline that was.
No, it wasn't great. But I'm actually curious to see what adaptations Enclave make actually on the other side. We spoke about the kind of potential issues for London, but I think for Enclave, of course, now they're one game away from being knocked out. Right? They lose this game, that's it. They've only at worst got one more chance at this. I think if I'm Enclave in that first rotation, I snap up. If it ends up being the same set of bans and the first similar first pick coming out from London in that Gragas, I think for Enclave, you just snap up the Azir at the same time. I think whilst Sykes, obviously looked fine on the Corki, he had a lot of very strong packages, he was dealing a lot of damage. I think if you have the Senna and the Azir paired up at the same time, you can very easily build a very strong composition on that foundation of those two champions.
Yep, well, we are into picks and bans. Let's see what both of these teams decide to take away. London obviously remaining on that blue side. Like we said, Enclave did choose red. See, I can't remember what they banned away first. There's the Camille ban. We did see that in the last ban phase.
It was Camille, I believe Camille, Hecarim, Yone, and then on the other side, Thresh, Seraphine, something. So there's one of the two. Udyr, probably Udyr.
It was the Camille first ban. There goes the Hecarim. It could just be the same picks and bans. It genuinely could.
So I think for the bans, nothing necessarily has to change here. Though Enclave have swapped around the order. I believe the Seraphine was the final ban the last time around. So let's see. Let's see whether they change. Yone is going to be the third and final ban for London. So if we see Udyr be banned away by Enclave, then it's the same set of bans. They leave Gragas up again. That's going to be the case. Now, I don't expect London to necessarily change their first pick. I think Gragas holds too much power in this particular series. Now I look over to Enclave and I say, okay, are you going to change your draft? Are you going to change your answer? Whilst the set, had its moments, I don't think it was as impactful a pick as picking up in R2. So I think the center can stay, but I need to see something more impressive, more powerful come through. You've got the Lilia up if you want it there for Cleanser as well, as a sort of jungle answer. When there's not too many other strong junglers up, we're going to see the Azir. We're going to see the Azir snapped in. So I think you can just pair it with the center, and you're not too fussed about that. You get two very strong carries where Azir can deal out the solid magic DPS, and the center is there to just provide all of the utility. I think this is a really strong rotation if it gets locked in. I'm happy they've made this adaptation.
So what's going to be the answer out here now for the side of London? What do they want to pick up instead? We could see things like the Orianna. I've seen that still be a comfortable blind pick. Obviously, it does get a little bit outranged by that. As
could see Syndra, because I know a lot of mid laners do actually like the Syndra lane into the Azir. You can kind of press Prio sometimes, but Azir is always going to be Azir. But this time around, London, they're going to respond with the Kai'Sa this time around. They don't really want to give over too many more powerful picks than what Enclave already have going for them. The Lilia being hovered could be locked in. Enclave are in a bit of a weird spot where they ideally want to pick a flex or just their support matchup, realistically, with the rel showing. And it seems like we're going to go down more the flex route. I know you're kind of umming and ahhing. I kind of get. I think the Tom Kench, specifically because Gragas is there.
Same problem, actually. You are right.
I'm more the issue with the Tom Kench is because the Gragas is there. You could be setting yourselves up for 2-for-1s. So I think the set in that sense is actually a little bit better, and you can counter engage on the rel, assuming she goes in first. So depending on the playstyle that Enclave actually have, it's still going to be okay. Would the Alistar have maybe been better? Potentially, but we'll have to see. It seems like they want to continue playing the fasting center route, and that's why we've got this. We could have just seen Maokai. Maokai's the other. Why do people not play Maokai of center anymore? That's
interestingly enough. I was about to note that Beely actually has had this Lucian ban away from him since week 1.
Yeah,
he was playing it a lot,
quite consistently.
So it's been a consistent ban versus him. So that is going to get denied. Obviously, they don't want something that's going to kind of deal with him mid. Only Angel going to have his Aatrox removed. His Aatrox was miles ahead of Merp in the last game. So again, another respectable pick here.
The Skarner ban too, but the Aatrox ban signals to me that London, when they banned that Aatrox, were going to actually potentially send that to the top side again. But with the Skarner ban in place, there's actually a lower chance for that to happen, and we could just see 2 solo lanes be locked in now instead. We'll have to see, because of course it just does remain a flex, and realistically they could just wait, but also the Olaf ban. So they're kind of covering both bases here. They're covering both the jungle matchup for this Gragas and the top side matchup for Gragas. So truly holding a lot of flexibility through those 2 bans. I really like what London have done here. And now for Enclave, junglers, you kind of just look at Lilia. I don't think there's anything else crazy strong that's still up and available in the meta anymore with all of these bans coming through. We'll have to see. Jarvan, Jarvan slipped through, I guess. Works totally fine here with a teamfight composition that Enclave are running, so it makes sense as an answer, or at least a sort of a slip into the team composition. Though if Gragas obviously ends up in the jungle matchup, then we could see some slightly one-sided jungle skirmishes. We'll have to see how they play out.
Okay, let's see what is going to be next here. I mean, they could actually just go for the Galio Enclave as well if they really want to. Oh no, sorry, they've got. They've already got.
They could slide set top. They could.
Yes.
They could
no.
slide
Yeah.
set
Yeah.
top.
They could
So
actually go Galio here as well. Then that is an option.
Though I'm not sure about the Galio rel matchup. It doesn't strike me as a horrible one, but I don't imagine
yeah,
it
I
would
feel
be
like it wouldn't be awful.
terrible.
I feel like it's still going to be slightly rel favored, right?
Yeah.
But
But
I don't think
it could be okay.
Absolutely garbage.
Particularly if okay.
That's Mundo Jungle, so
that's a really interesting answer. So I imagine it will be Mundo Jungle, but I want to see what Enclave are actually going to pick on the top side. As not being hot, that should just be a lock-in. So
not here fight, be a Chad. Go Ghost Ignite.
He's Ghostic, but then where's the smite?
No, Ghost. Don't farm, just play River.
River Mundo. Yeah,
River
so
Mundo.
Enclave, there's not much to talk about here with this team composition, right? Front to back, dive when available. Ultimates are important, tracking flashes, particularly for, well, actually, the carries on London have ways of getting out of the Cataclysm, so it might Flashes might not even matter too much, but they'll definitely be impactful to track. On the London side, we are going to see Mundo jungle, so it's definitely a curious time to do it when there is so much physical damage present on the Enclave side.
Yeah.
When Mundo typically wants to be picked into AP compositions. So I'm not
was
sold in on the spot, but it could definitely work out.
Was it last week we saw it in UKLC or NLC? I know it was last week we saw it. It must not have been UKLC, but it did actually win in NLC last week.
Okay.
It's got pretty solid wave clear, like jungle clear speed.
Yeah, it's
incredibly
clear
strong. Pretty much every Mundo, if you're not asleep, is running approach velocity. So once one cleaver lands, you just chase them down. It's kind of why you don't go ghost. A lot Mundo still do like the ghost because you get the extra tenacity while you got the burning agony or the mechanism. I can't remember what it's called now. While you got the flames around you, you have extra tenacity. That with the fact that you got fleet footwork for healing and speed, and the approach velocity. Although actually, PFI is not running approach velocity. It's got domination second, so not sure about that one. Actually,
could just be a jungle specific thing. I feel like Ravenous Hunter may give you the additional
healing.
Omnivamp
who already has healing.
No, Omnivamp to get through the early stages. Because whilst this player is fast, it can actually be relatively unhealthy, depending on the pathing that he takes.
We did see the NLC Mundo had approach velocity. So
yeah, very strong rune.
First time I've not seen it on a Mundo, to be honest.
Yeah, because Mundo top really likes approach velocity.
It was Mundo top. Sorry, to be clarified, it was Mundo jungle.
Yeah. No, but I'm saying like Mundo top likes approach velocity, but Mundo in general just likes approach velocity just because of how he works. He's a very linear champion.
He likes to hit you and then run at you while you're slow.
Yes. Mundo likes to cleave. So I think we've got a really unorthodox position to have Mundo in. But I think given how pinched the jungle pool was, I can understand why we're seeing it come out. But at that point, why not just put Gragas in the jungle into the Jarvan? You know that's a more than tried and tested jungle matchup. Probably longer than I've played League of Legends for, actually. And then you just pick something safe and blindable in the top side, like the Gnar, for example, which you could have taken away from only Angel. So it's definitely weird. It seems like London are particularly averse to picking Gragas in the jungle today. But we're finally here. Game 2. After the last one, Jake, I'm excited.
I'm very excited. I'm very, very excited. Bloody stellar game to start us off in this series after a 2-0 win for Resolve.
I mean, game 1 in the first series
was
okay.
good. No, to be fair, the Resolve M&M series was actually quite good. Even though it was a 2-0, it was actually still pretty fun.
Yes, exactly. So can't complain about game 1. Game 2, yeah. A little bit sad. As speaking of sad, Sykes, sad B. Part of the B committee. I like to see that, Sykes. For anyone who knows me, I like the B emotes. They're cool. As London slipping a ward on to the Raptors, just to get a little bit of information. We're spotted out by Enclave, so they know that ward's there. So Cleanser could path around this ward just to avoid it entirely. Give over as little information as possible. And PFI is actually going to be starting up on the blue buff. So he's going to be mirroring Cleanser, likely to be pathing top to bot here. And this is probably going to be a pretty fast blue buff take because he started Cleaver. It deals all of the max HP percentage damage. So with the Q stack up here as Hepe trying to pull the wave. Actually dashes in forward.
Not sure about that one, although Sorex does take a bit from Denvoxney.
Yeah, there's a lot of damage traded back. I mean, at the end of the day, it's just going to be the supports trading health pots. Realistically, though, actually, Sorex is farming, so he's not the support. He is technically the carry in this lane. Does only have the one pot with the Doran shield, so he's going to be working off that regen. And Set also has a base regen, as they're actually going for another trade down there. And
I love Senna.
Oh,
Sorex. Very
wow. Yeah, I was looking at that on the minimap, and then I saw the summoner spells blown, and I was like, wow, okay, they are really going for it.
I love Senna. It's so funny because it's like supports, they finally got a fun range support, and Eddie Carries went, no, we want to play that now. You have to play carry.
Yeah. It's a pretty big shame. Senna actually is a pretty fun champion to play.
She's so fun. I actually really enjoy Senna.
Yeah, I was going to extend the point, but Cleanser's actually... Cleanser was beelining towards the bottom side, but he's going to take a slightly longer pathing down. Oh, is he invading onto the red buff? Is he looking for it? He was, but...
PFI's a little
PFI
low
was
here.
too close. Yeah. He's going to check the Raptor camp, so he's going to miss PFI at every possible chance.
Yeah,
PFI's going to smite away.
smited now, so he's got some health back.
Yeah, and he's got a level advantage. I actually think PFI would probably win the skirmish into Cleanser, but London's bottom lane are so out of place. But London is here. PFI's here and on the backside.
Oh, Cleanser's been seen as well. The Cleaver's in. Den's flashed away. The flag, the drag, the snare. All of the CC being layered in. Cleanser gets the shield off, but that's first blood onto the Dr. Mundo. Now Jeppe being chased down by Sorex. And it's just a 1-for-1 fight. Jungler for AD carry.
Jungler for AD carry. Very, very messy stuff, but crucially, Rel's engage actually halts Den Voxnay from dropping very quickly as...
Jeppe? Jeppe's flashing. Jeppe has to jump over the wall. Will be able to do so as
Jeppe?
Sorex is going to look for the interrupt, and now Beely chasing onto Sykes. Cleanser also coming in, and get ourselves a pause in the middle of the action. Woo.
That's a dangerous pause. Let's see. I think judging by the position of everybody, London should be able to walk out of this. Though Sorex is kind of at a flank angle, so London's pathing is going to have to be pretty peculiar to escape this scenario.
They have got flash on to Beely. It might just be PFI, who's low health at the moment. But we are loading back into the game, so I think we're about to go straight back to play-by-play and straight back to action. So I'm going to get myself into the zone for this one. Any minute now.
There you go.
Being kept on a knife's edge. PFI, he's low HP. There's no mana, but the flag, the drag, the slope. PFI getting flashed onto an impulse. Picks up a soul as Cleanser picks up a kill.
Yeah. Just a nice punish there. PFI really wanted to get that bottom side skull. And, I mean, I'd say potentially transition into a double skull, but honestly, Enclave had priority up in the top lane, but they had it in the mid, so I'm not sure if they would have got it. Cleanser's actually looking to steal away the second spawn Gromp. I don't know if he's got enough damage. PFI's here too. Oh, no.
Only Angel has come over, has stolen this one away. The flag and drag is on. PFI trying to sustain as long as possible, but he's not going to be able to. Now it's Beely putting some damage in, but he's getting chunked out. He's getting pulled back. Merp comes in with a belly slam. Sykes sends a soldier forward.
What's happening?
Beely's out alive. Merp is going so low. Beely finally falls, and it's Enclave getting two.
It's a nightmare disaster start for London here. At first, they lose their AD carry in a 1-for-1 on the bottom side, and then they lose even more in the skirmish, their jungler in the mid lane. And actually, the replay starts exactly here. So it's after the gank. London, they're greeding for this bottom side Skull Crab, but they don't have the numbers. They don't have the health bar critically, really, to actually secure it. And after the pause comes back out and down, we see PFI trying to path back through the mid lane, as I believe the replay is kind of frozen a bit, but it's here, we're here. And Impulse just flashes forward, gets the Glacial Augment slow from the Q, and that's what secures the kill for Cleanser. And then after all of that, Cleanser's Smite comes back off cooldown. He secures the Gromp, even though he was at a level disadvantage.
We need to get back into game.
Oh my god, what is going on?
He's being chased down. The Attractive Repel actually gets a good snare off onto Sorex. Cleanser takes a lot of damage, and Jeppe almost finding the kill on the Cleanser, but he's unable to do so. Dragon in the meanwhile was secured for London. They trade out onto a kill. Now Sorex is slowed. They use the Curse of the Black Mist to get the speed up onto Sorex, but the chase continues, and Den Voxney will be looking for this one. One more V. Seeker is all he needs as the flag and drag from Cleanser is big. The snare onto Den Voxney, onto Beely, as now Sorex is next on the menu. The Facebreaker shield is huge, and Enclave once again find everything.
This is just not the start that that London need. It's the perfect start for Enclave. Enclave, honestly, now they're over 3,000 gold up 6 minutes into the game. That is an outrageous gold lead to hold. Now, if there is any caveat, any silver lining for London, look at where the kills have been distributed. You've got Jarvan 4, 1 and 5, and you've got Sorex 302. They've got all of the kills. Sykes has 1 kill to his name. Other than that, everyone else has picked up assists. So it's not the end of the world, but in this replay, you see, honestly, it's London, they go a little bit too ham, I feel. After the back of that dragon, they could realistically kind of just retreat, but once they pick up Sorex, and once you see the health bars fall incredibly low onto the set, they start to chase and they start to go deep. They lose track of Cleanser, and he comes back over the wall with the flag and drag onto the Mundo, who's realistically dies to that combination, and the Facebreaker into all of the rest of the AoE damage. London do not have enough return to actually take then Voxney down. I mean, take down Cleanser, I beg your pardon. And they just lose out. London lose out, and this big of a gold lead so early on.
I would like to see the gold lead individually, because I do think that Voxney has been secretly accruing himself a pretty large CS lead. Now, Sorex, while he is the farming member, is only 300 gold up over Demvoxney right now with those 3 kills. So Demvoxney's CS lead is actually keeping him pretty relevant in this lane. Beely, though, that is a bit of a scary lead at this point in the game, to be down anyway. So Sykes on the Azir got a kill, got 3 assists, and got a CS lead. Pretty rough jungle, though. Whew.
Yeah. And it's actually kind of surprising to see the gold lead not be bigger by us, because PFI's actually picked up 2 kill credits to his name, so very fortunate in that department to keep himself at least within 1k, but
Jarvan going to use that as well. Well. Sure, there's going to be a Kraken Slayer.
Forget that. Cleanser's already picked up his gold drinker. 8 minutes into the game. He is so strong. Wherever this man goes, London members will die for the immediate future. So London have to play with laser focus and tracking onto where the Enclave jungler is, because he can realistically take over the game. When you have a Jarvan as fed as this, he can borderline start turning into an assassin just because of how high
Jarvan, baby.
No, I don't think we're going to see lethality. Though it would be pretty fun if he goes something like maybe the Edge of Night, where you still get a little bit of HP, you get spell shield, but you get that extra infinity lethality. Feel pretty good. But no, I don't think it's going to be the case. Actually going to be pushing onto this topside tower. And honestly, okay, I was going to say they don't necessarily need to drop the Herald here, just because they have that cannon wave. Could have maybe taken 2 plates and looked to push this Herald somewhere else. PF5.
Well, there's the sadism.
All right.
The saddest sadism I've ever seen.
He just walked into the lane and walked away. Oh, all right. Well, yeah, second charge coming down for the Herald. Pretty big, and Merp can't really answer now. London are trying to make a cross-map play of their own, but Enclave have enough preliminary vision to at least escape a full-on dive. But they are going to miss out on the XP and everything else underneath the tower. Now, Enclave, in response to that, just send Cleanser back to the top side and take 2 towers for themselves. And Enclave even going to answer out a bit in the mid lane. Potentially with 1 plate, but not enough damage to come through, so just tower damage. Beely missed out on the whole wave, though. And he actually finds himself 25 CS down, so I would still call this an Enclave, more than an Enclave win. A resounding defeat.
That is a bad place to base. And now you've got the chains. Now you've got Jeppe coming in. The railgun gets fired. Demvoxney uses the killer instinct backwards as the Magnet Storm is there to buy a bit of time. But now Jeppe, he's the one who's going low HP. The slam back with the showstopper, but PFI joins into the fray. Jeppe able to survive, and Enclave unable to find their kill. But a lot burnt because Demvoxney just took a greedy base, to be frank. Now, Beely is making his way over. He's on top of a pink ward.
And he's got a package.
And he does have that package. Cleanser also maybe looking to come down towards his bot side. Beely's just going to catch the wave and then move back up. Remember, Dragon's up in 2 seconds, so Beely, perfect sync here with the package. And now Demvoxney getting closer towards his Kraken Slayer or Gale Force, to be honest. We don't know which one's which. And I actually think London are okay to give this dragon up. They were able to pick up the first dragon for themselves.
Yeah.
So they slowed down a potential soul timer, and it's just an equalization out in the dragons.
Yeah, I would just say avert your eyes to the massive gold deficit that London are in, and just understand why they're giving that dragon up. It makes a lot of sense. Package being picked up just as a potential defensive tool, and of course it's going to sync up with that next dragon anyway into that bottom side. What have you caught? What's going on?
Well, I caught the fact that the map went blue and a lot more bushes appeared. We are on an ocean soul, my friend, and when you know Dr. Mundo, that's a champion that bloody loves ocean soul.
Now, Enclave as a team haven't actually been too clinical at closing out games this split, so realistically, this ocean soul could actually come into play. And London, well, they don't have to fight at the next dragon. They've escaped that unfortunate circumstance, but they will have to fight at the one. Well, realistically, they don't have to fight until Soul, but you don't really want to put yourself in that position. So you can kind of asterisk it off and say they've got about 9 minutes to claw back any gold that they can to get themselves ready to start actually contesting objectives and places on the map. And there is a lot of standing gold. They're not realistically going to be able to pick up any plates in the next 2 minutes, I don't think. And that's going to be a pretty big hit into potential gold influx, potential gold injection, as Sykes shoving out this wave. But in general, Enclave have picked up how many plates? There was 2 there, a 3 there in the mid lane, all 5 out of the top tower, plus the second tier tower.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of gold that London might not actually be able to technically get back or claw their way back into that Enclave have picked up via the plates. So it's going to be a long road. But if they can manage their time, their resources properly, giving the farm to members they need to carry, it can actually be a not terrible position to be in. But if Enclave use the proactivity tools via the Jarvan, via Set, via globals in the teleports, London might not actually have a foot back into this game.
We did think that in the last game, to be fair. I think I honestly thought Enclave had pulled ahead enough in that last game. And London, they made a comeback, and the man who made that comeback possible was Voxney on the Kai'Sa. He has a big CS lead over Sorex. He is keeping himself relevant in gold, still off the back of that. Now, I do think London need to do something about this bot lane and put some help into this poor guy. Jepe's actually been out of the lane for a long time, kind of just helping the team get some vision. But that is just left only Angel able to farm plates bot side and denied Voxney from actually stepping forward in the lane. So I would like to see some attention put down by London down here. Now that the Mega Gnar's timed out, he's a little bit more easy to pick off.
Yeah, then Voxney not in the greatest of positions that we've seen the London bot lane are in. But if you take a look at the inventory, this is what I was saying, you probably just give up the next dragon. Enclave have finished up the mythics pretty much across the board, and Sorex won't be far off the chem tank either. I imagine, honestly, after he picks up that wave on the top side, you could just reset and pick that one up. So, honestly, you give up the next dragon, you are not ready. You are not ready to pick any kind of fight right now, reactive or proactive. You
now, there's the shield bow picked up for Beely on that base.
Yeah. Chem tank.
I'm assuming Voxney is going to be a little bit of a way off his mythic, just due to the fact that you do sidetrack towards the Serrated. It looked like an attempted gank onto Only Angel was going to break down in this bot lane, but Only Angel able to hop away, thanks to it being Gnar. And Cleanser just going to turn this instantly into a Rift Herald on the other side of the map, and you might have the package. There's Only Angel's actually potentially getting jumped onto, but gets the Gnar back. The Magnet Storm is there. And Only Angel forced away, but Jepe has burnt the Gnar, burnt the Ignite.
Burn the Ignite, burn the Ultimate. Magnet Storm actually doesn't have that long of a cooldown, so
no.
Should be back up come the next dragon, but
they're
looking for a dive.
For the jump in, gets the shield off, but he's going to lose his life already. That was really, really questionable.
I think the play was not ideal, but not only that, the execution was very short of what was required to make that happen, so going to be punished quite heavily. Oh, they're going to lose out mid-tier 1. They could take this tower before the Herald charges.
It
this
feels
could
like
be a
London
2-charge Herald.
Pulled around the map by Enclave. They just have no answer.
I think honestly, if we're talking optimization just quickly, Enclave shouldn't have let that Herald charge in. They should have taken that tower, but they're now going to look for the fight in the jungle.
Yes, one of them's going to have to get popped, but that is Voxney ulting backwards to keep himself alive, but he's in, slammed in. Only Angel in the Gnar form, and that is the real, that is the double kill. Easy as pie. Sykes able to pick that one up. And it comes off the back of a bad tower dive from Jepe. A really, really poor tower dive.
Yeah, really, really poor tower dive. We'll get the replay of it. And I mean, he just whiffs every ability, but this replay is actually the fight that's just happened. The Cataclysm locks. Then Voxney in place whilst he's also stunned. Killer Instinct's out, but gets the full slam out from Set, and the Emperor's Divide to put the cherry on the top. Wrap up everything very nicely. And honestly, Sykes looking like a much different player on this Azir, and it's why I wanted to see it locked in that first rotation. Enclave recognizing the same thing, and so much more proactive on this champion, able to make far more plays, a lot more flexible on the champion, and you can see it's also kind of reflected in the gold graph.
Well, we actually had a gold lead for Enclave in the last game. It was a lot less substantial than it is right now.
Yeah.
When we looked at that gold
close.
graph in the last game, I noted that it was kind of like a mountain range. It was up and down. It was a little bit more back and forth. But this one, very gradual rise, and that's Enclave just this time using the lead they were able to find and actually extending that further. It's really, really nice stuff there from Enclave. But we need to see them show us that they can close the game out, because last game they were ahead and they got a little bit too patient. They got a little bit too lethargic, let's say, in the game.
You could
And
even
London were able to pull themselves back in. They do have champions who scale really well in the Corki, in the Kaiser as well. Corki, a champion who typically just spikes on every item he buys. There's like a nice spike point, but every item's a nice item for him. And only Angel gets a stride breaker off onto Merc, chunks him out.
yeah, I mean, if
Force
only
of
Angel
Nature,
had
stride breaker versus Barmies and Bramble.
yeah, and there's a lot of magic damage actually on the London side. This time, I like only Angel's ionization. Immediate Force of Nature purchase. Last game a little less. QSS early would have paid pretty heavy dividends, but I'm going to stop talking about it because I get a little bit too mad. London looking to respond to Enclave's push, but a little bit too slow, and they lose the tower. Wow. Minion doing God's work there for Enclave. London, honestly,
London
they
just
only
need to
have
find a way to slow this game down.
Yeah,
If they want to get a 2-0 win here. Enclave need to find a way to speed this up. They got a 10k gold lead.
I mean, I get that, but I don't think they really have to do much now at this kind of big of a lead, as long as they're acting appropriately, right? They stop London from even contesting the next dragon. They shift their vision over to Baron once it's up, and you just force London to come into you with this big of a gold deficit. They'll just lose the fight.
Yeah.
So they don't necessarily even need to speed things up. With this big of a gold lead, you just need to play appropriately, and they should be
When I
okay.
say speed up, they just
I know.
getting like
Yeah,
3-4 items. As long as they
don't let them box, they scale.
Yeah.
Don't let them. It's like
if Devoxley doesn't show up full build at level 18, then they're probably okay.
Do you know what this is like? London are playing Protect the President like it's paintballing or airsoft. They're just like, all right, protect this guy. Give him the gold. Give him the. Don't let him die. Dive in front of the bullets, guys.
Have you done airsoft?
I've not. You know what? I really want to do airsoft. I've done paintballing a couple of times.
All right, let's get
but
the FLC
airsoft-
gang together and do some airsoft.
Dude, I would love to do some airsoft.
I mean, paintball's just as fun. I've done paintball. Paintball's great.
Paintballing's cool, but I feel like the whilst they obviously say airsofting is like slightly harsher of the two.
Yeah.
What would you call it?
The
Outdoor
variety in the
sports?
weapons you can use in airsoft.
Yeah, it's the variety of the weapons, but not only that, I feel like paintballing honestly leaves harsher marks as long as you're like not at a crazy close distance in Air Force.
Yeah, well, we had when I went
Airsoft.
I've only done paintballing once. Jeppe, I might hold that for the moment.
Yeah, Jeppe was almost in trouble, but I think Cleanser's gonna have to retreat. That was a nice flag and drag.
That was a very long range flag and drag. Yeah, when I went paintballing, we had a final round where we got to kind of empty our barrels and finish.
They always
our
do that.
So one of my friends decided, because you basically normally if you get hit, you have to go to the timeout zone. There was no timeout zone. We just got to shoot at each other. They basically put us on two sides, gave us some cover, and went, all right,
run at each other.
these paintballs, use them.
Yeah.
And one of my friends just didn't have any paintballs, so he just ran down the center and let everyone shoot him a lot. And
what a psychopath! Are you sure they didn't design Mundo off that guy, or
he was Mundo colored by the time it was done. He was completely purple from all the bruises.
Well, I hope that guy's okay.
I mean, he wasn't okay. He ran down
You still talk
he was
to him?
okay physically afterwards, but I had questions afterwards.
Ooh, wow, that was a lot of damage, actually.
That's the lethality.
That was
getting scary. He's a level 10, sorry. So he's technically up on Impulse, but Impulse is obviously not a farmer. Doing okay in the item department, but PFI might find yourself in a bit of trouble here. Has got that additional tenacity, flashes away from Sykes. I think that's a respectable flash there. It's Jeppe just playing a bit of interrupt. Sadism not burnt from PFI. That's the big thing there.
Yeah, but flash when you're versus the Jarvan. is the bigger thing to note realistically. So Mundo doesn't really get to go where he pleases if Jarvan just says, you're in prison now.
Jail's getting jail. Sorry,
Sorry, it's the prison talk, kind of.
it's on my mind. The Ocean Drake getting picked up by Enclave.
Yeah, no
So
contest.
that is going to be sole point. And
Ooh.
I said that
London.
Mundo is a champion, but loves that.
Yeah.
If you can't get it, it's pretty rough playing into it, especially when you're this far behind. Ocean Soul is disgusting when you're far behind because it's hard to itemize into the executioners and the like the anti-heal when you realistically want to be buying damage items to keep yourself in or at least slightly behind that curve. I know it's only 800 gold, but then Voxy would much rather invest that 800 gold, in finishing a collector or getting closer towards his hurricane. But he's going to have to buy it soonish.
Yeah, I
He
mean,
bought it third in the last game, I believe.
yeah. We'll have to see whether he has to be forced into picking up because honestly, the new Bramble Vest is pretty easy to apply grievous wounds with this item. And to be fair, practically all of the champions, bar Azir, have to actually auto-attack with their champion. So we'll apply it to themselves on the front line, at the very least. So then Voxnay could be afforded the privilege of not having to actually buy grievous wounds items himself. We'll have to see though, because as you highlight, it would definitely delay his build. He's recalled, not actually going to be able to pick up the collector though. He's gone for the last whisper, which
That means he had the money.
yeah, I think he had the money for it, didn't he?
I think he's just recognizing that the frontliners are really strong right now. You mean Sorex has got all the kills in the bot lane. You've got a lot of kills on Cleanser who's going tanky. Same for any Angel. I think he's optimizing some armor penetration early.
I guess, yeah. I can see the value in it, but I guess you just have to weigh up against one full item in the collector.
Because realistically, if he finishes that collector, is anybody getting low enough for him to proc it? And the only other bonus is, you
actually, so I was doing some number crunching the other day, specifically around Kai'Sa. Don't know why, just got bored. AD carries aren't even really my forte. But I think Lord Dominic's is a stronger item to go than the collector. I think the only thing you miss out on the collector is there's a little bit of attack speed on the collector, right? Or is it just
no collectors lethality,
AD lethality, crit.
and crit.
So,
but we do see a lot of people go Lord Doms, to be fair.
We'll have to maybe hold that point, Enclave. Yeah, okay. So yeah, it's just like slightly less AD, but you then trade it up against the flat armor pen, really. And then obviously you miss out on the lethality, but the armor pen value is so high that it often just deals more damage than that 12 lethality.
Yeah.
Even against the squishier members.
Yeah, he's gone for it. So second.
There you go.
He did build it last game, to be fair. I think it was his fourth item though.
It was his fourth item. Yeah, it was the fourth item. Only Angel's about to gnar out, so I expect that to just fizzle out. So yeah, interesting to see that he did go for the Dirk first. Maybe just wanted just had the gold value for it. Wanted the evolution. Could of course still go the collector either way, but enough about items as Enclave slide up the Baron. London, they've got to check into this.
Quick Baron. This is an
very
incredibly fast Baron. Sadism has been popped. Remember, only Angel's already gnarred out, so he's tired at the moment, but they slam him back. They can't quite get in. Jeppe jumps into the middle. Massive Magni Storm. The Railgun gets fired.
Oh, no, Devoxy!
Devoxy gets one. That's the Baron. Stolen. No, secured away by Cleanser, sorry. Devoxy jumps into more, though. Gets himself the kill.
The body slam!
Are there. Finally gets taken out, and only Angel able to get another one. Enclave finds the ace. A triple kill to Cleanser, the Baron in their pocket, and they're going to be able to crack the base. They might even be able to win the game off the back of that.
I don't know if they can win the game. The death timers are relatively short, but honestly, that fight was so close to at least being positive for London. They've at least wiped away the Baron off of Sykes and Impulse, but we get the replay here, and it's just all of the CC coming out from the roll on the backside whilst the Baron is damaging everybody. And then Voxnay slides in, finds execution onto Impulse. He isn't actually able to make it through Sykes. As you can see, the Cataclysm actually keeps him out of the pit. He flashes a little bit too late to take him down. So Mundo ends up taking a lot of damage. And then the Gragas almost keeps them Voxnay alive long enough to actually find lethal onto more members. But you can you can maybe take that, but the issue is now Soul is spawning in 25 seconds.
Yeah, they're going to try and take this tower down so fast so they can just get the mid pressure. Beely has the package.
Honestly, this is a fight London could win. This is a fight London could win. Even though they're 12k gold down.
This is game sustained, not won. This is game sustained for London.
Oh,
or game
Beely.
lost. Beely. He's low. He's going to have to play that package. And now he's out of the fight. Does have teleports. He can go for the reset. But the captain is Foxy, though. Oh! And the Magnet Storm is huge. It's the slam back by Sorex. Only Angel's already used everything. Foxy able to kite away for the moment. But he's pushed back by the shuffle. Gale forces for some space. And Enclave continue the chase. Here comes the teleport from Beely. Trying to keep his team alive. PFI survives everything. And it started so horrendously wrong for London, and they have to try and find a way in, but the Dragon is being started up already by Sight.
That's it. That's gone.
And I think that's Soul. I think that is the chance for London evaporating fastly.
Honestly, London, they temporarily had positioning to actually make it into Dragon Pit. They had the package, but Beely steps too far forward, not respecting the stride breaker from Only Angel, and he's forced to use the package defensively. And now Impulse and Only Angel, they're on the bottom side of the map here. They're going to open up this base. The minion wave is far too big. PFI cannot defend that by himself. Meganar is also going to come out here, so mid lane also being pushed in. That should just be 2 inhibitors to the good for Enclave.
He's try and do his best to hold this, but it's not going to happen. There's such a big wave bot lane. He doesn't have the Hurricane. He doesn't have the AoE yet. And finally, they're going to step away, but 2 inhibs go down. And that last fight, it just felt like Beely was way too reluctant to use his package defensively. So he got chunked out of the fight instead of just using it defensively and then being able to keep himself in the fight for, without having to reset, basically.
Yeah, absolutely. And just too much, I don't want to use the word disrespect, just maybe unsuspecting of the stride breaker coming out and slowing him down and the amount of damage that, even though it's the only damage item that Only Angel actually had, I believe, at the time, how much damage that... what side?
There we go. Okay.
Yeah.
I
like that he was like, where? Who?
Looks like he will be able to pick up this red buff.
Yes.
And that should be either the Phantom Dancer or the Hurricane finished up for him. I think it's Hurricane because he's got another dagger and Phantom Dancer's longsword. Beely has to be so careful.
All right, it's okay.
Oh, he went for Xyz instantly, actually. So full mortal reminder there, finished up for Foxy. I think necessary, absolutely necessary in this case.
It's definitely necessary now. That's for sure.
Don't get the AoE auto attacks on the Hurricane though, because that last fight looked good for London. There just wasn't quite enough AoE coming in because the Corki was not there.
Not there, no.
Could you imagine if that Magnet Storm onto like the front line and you had a Corki shooting packages out, the Ekafian Rain? That could have been an entirely different fight for London.
Absolutely, and I mean, it was like reliving a 2015 Worlds fight. The Narvan combo was huge too. Too many members caught in that on the London side, so I feel even if Corki was there, the only way that fight's salvageable is if he had the package in that big old meat grinder going on. But even then, it's low chance. It's very low chance. The best they could have hoped is denying the soul away. And for London, that's a positive fight in this kind of game state. For now, being sieged upon. Baron buff long dissipated though on Enclave, though they've just got so much map pressure. There's going to be double super stacking in the bottom side come the next wave, and maybe even triple if they don't tend to it very soon. The wave clear is there though for London. Let's see how they handle this next wave though. As Hepe.
This is the hard one. Someone has to go bot lane to deal with that. And Enclave just very much aware of that. They may like try and find something onto Only Angel, but he's about to gnaw out and this wave's crashing in. So the 2 wave clear monsters are going to move over to pick this one up. Only Angel gets a 2-man wallop off.
Oh, PFI.
This goes down. PFI might find himself caught out. Sadism's there for the healing. They're trying to fire off onto multiple members, but there's the Magnet Storm already. PFI is lost his life. Foxy's firing away. Here comes the package from Beely. But once again, Beely's just way too late to the fight. Way too late to get involved. A triple kill for Sykes. He may just go for the Quadra here. But Tenza's going to make sure that this is the end. This is the ace. Enclave will be pushing this all the way to game number 3 in the series.
Yep, game number 3. We suspected that this would be the 3-game series of the day, and Enclave, honestly, start to finish dominant in this one. London, too many early game jungle blunders coming out from all of them. I say jungle blunders not just because PFI died multiple times, but just skirmishing when they didn't deserve to. Yeah, skirmishing when they didn't have the space to. They go too big of a lead to Enclave. Enclave had a 3,500 gold lead at 6 minutes.
Yeah.
That is
Honestly,
remake territory if you're in a scrim.
Yeah, I mean, for me, that was late game. Beely just was not there ever.
No.
Like every time there was like a slight good engage, Beely was off because he had either been chunked or just wasn't ready. And I think Enclave, on the other hand, they this time shored up the issues we had about them in game 1. They had a good early. Again, I mean, this was a much better early, to be fair to them, so they had a bigger lead. But Enclave definitely, they were a lot more decisive with that game. They made the plays instead of kind of falling back onto their laurels and letting London get back into that game. They picked up the pace. Then Voxney, he was slowly building up the items, but he just was always too far behind the curve to be able to do anything. And it was just a much better game from Enclave, a much better read on the game. And with that, we're going to game 3. Now, we're going to throw to a break. When we're back, Jamada's going to start scribbling on your screens again. We'll talk a little bit more in depth about that game. So we'll see you in a second. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the UKLC. My throat is a little hoarse now as we finish up our game number 4 of the day. London versus Enclave, and Enclave answer back, and they answer back hard in this game.
Yeah, it was very much a pretty dominative one-side stomp here as London, they were looking for the proactive play, but fortunately weren't able to actually win out here. 1-for-1 when you lose your bot laner is not necessarily ideal. And then London, they kind of griefed for this scuttle, and it just cost them dearly in the long run. It just sets up for Enclave to just have so much more success, as off the back of trying to go for the scuttle, they lose PFI, and then this sets up for potentially, I can't remember if Cleanser actually gets both the scuttle crabs. I imagine he probably did. And then he goes for this invade here, which he wins, and then PFI dies. Beely comes up here, teleports, and it's like, okay, well, maybe it's 2v2, Cleanser's really low, they could win out, but he misses the phosphorus bomb, he misses the Valkyrie, so mechanically London just fumble this fight. Merp comes in to try and save his mid laner, so he dies, and then Beely dies anyway. So they lose out all of their top side in that skirmish, and then from this point, I can't even remember how we ended up in this position because we came out of a replay. London end up getting this dragon, which is honestly huge. It delays the game in the longer run for quite a while, and London, they go to ham, they lose Hepe, and then they turn a kill back onto Sykes, and then that's when they say, all right, there's no Sykes here. This looks like a positive fight. And then they just overchase again, and they end up losing out on more members.
Yeah, honestly, I just scrappy stuff in this game. Like it was just scrappy. It was London maybe feeling themselves a little bit too much after that turnaround, and the game just snowballed away from them. It was honestly just a really clean game by Enclave. I kind of felt like they had a lot kind of thrown at them, to be fair, as well. It was kind of London, a bit of a charity, that game, to them, let's be fair. But Jamada, there was one play in particular from that game you enjoyed the most. So let's talk about that one, shall we?
Yes, we shall. So just highlighting this Baron fight here, where we spoke about how London had to get back into the game, and then we very quickly highlighted how Enclave could finish this game out in a very clinical fashion. And it was effectively just this. They had to take that third dragon, which they did about 3 minutes ago, and then they tried multiple times to try and get themselves into a comfortable position to start the Baron, and this is exactly that. So they're onto the Baron. They know that London has to reply, otherwise they just give over Baron for free. And it's just really, London can only do this. This is the only thing London can do. They have to walk in and attempt. But PFI doesn't have the smite. He gets ulted out and Emperor's Divided. But look at this on the backside from Hepe. A 3-man stun, 3-man Magnet Storm. He's buying so much time. The Baron isn't being focused by the Enclave members. It stays up for so long. It almost buys enough time for PFI. And on the bottom side, Beely's being forced out by only Angel and Sorex. And then this is where you start to think, once then Voxnay slides in, he can actually find Lethal. But no, the Cataclysm locks him out. He can't path in and back to the back of the pit onto Voxnay. Onto Sykes, I beg your pardon, and he just isn't able to flash forward in time. And by the time he does, he loses too much HP, and the belly bop is nice from Opilion to attempt to keep his AD carry alive, but it just isn't enough. Enclave effectively wiped the fight. They smack London in the face of their wallet, and had this been a slightly closer game, that's a fight that London realistically can walk away from with potentially even Baron, to be honest.
Yeah.
But they were just too far behind, and this is just Enclave showcasing that they can be clinical and make the correct decisions, which is what we actually need to see from these guys.
That is exactly what we need to see from them. And I think if we have another game where Enclave are that decisive, I actually think they can win. I genuinely do. I think the thing about London is they're very good 35 minutes onwards. If they fall too far behind in that pre-35 minutes, it gets really hard for them.
With London, it seems to have been a case over the split where they're typically pretty good from minute sort of 1 to about 14. After that, they don't really seem to have their stuff together. And then that's when they tend to falter a lot. And then you get to the late game scenarios and they just seem to, everything just falls into place for them. They understand what to do. They understand how to play the map. We're seeing creative, like lane assignments in the late game when you're talking about some of those 40-minute, 50-minute games, which have won them games. But Enclave, today, they've come out, they have a stronger early game, and they're transitioning these mid-game leads, at least in this game, far better than they did in game 1. And that's when London are weak. So they have to find a way to shore this up, whether it's through draft or just through recollecting themselves and getting their heads together to actually not fall so far behind in the mid game.
Well, it's time to break your clocks because it's break time. See you in a second.
Waking up, the sun is rising. We can go anywhere, do anything. Put your hand in my hand, let's explore. Travel places no one's been before. Leave your fears and hear you calling. Wherever you go, wherever you are, your beauty's unique. The melody's so sweet. Our differences make our union so great. Together we perfect harmony. Perfect harmony. Together we will be perfect harmony. Let's get lost in a forest of green. Lose ourselves in the blue of the sea. Paint the world any color we choose, or a rainbow with all of the hues. Make the world the way that we dream. Wherever you go, wherever you are, your beauty's unique. The melody's so sweet. Our differences make our union so great. Together we perfect harmony. Perfect harmony. Together we will be perfect harmony. Together we'll be. Together we'll be perfect harmony.
Watching the world go by under the moonlit sky. It's the feeling, yeah, it's the feeling. Sun-kissed and having fun, ocean to summer sun. It's the feeling, yeah, it's the feeling. We know what ain't gonna change, yeah, we know the stars will never fade. We'll never walk away, make this our real life. Just you and me, right where I want to be. Right where I want to be. Never letting go, never letting go. 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 Oh, watching the world go by under the moonlit sky. It's the feeling, yeah, it's the feeling. Sun-kissed and having fun, ocean to summer sun. It's the feeling, yeah, it's the feeling. We know what ain't gonna change, yeah, we know the stars will never fade. We'll never walk away, make this our real life. Just you and me, right where I want to be. Right where I want to be. Never letting go, never letting go. Never letting go, never letting go. Never letting go, never letting go. Never letting go, never letting go.
We're nearly in sync, but not in step just yet. When you time that look, you know this can't be second best. It's all in the timing. There's not a right way or a wrong way. It's just a short way or the long way. Get there together in our own way. Good timing is everything. The wrong move when your seconds end will slow us down. Good timing will make or break. A fine line is a choice or is it fate? Don't slow us down. What we do at the start is gonna be there too at the end. Get the pace up, keep the faith up, never breaking the link we've found. It's all in the timing. There won't be a right way or a wrong way. It's just a short way or the long way. Get there together in our own way. Good timing is everything. The wrong move when your seconds end will slow us down. Good timing will make or break. A fine line is a choice or is it fate? Don't slow us down.
Stay sweet summertime, sipping in a high. We caught a fever for two. Go together like neon in the night. I know I'm better with you. I know that you see me the way that I am, floating on a feeling with no other plan. You make me feel good, lost in the moment. You make me feel good, hearts running wild. You make me.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the UKLC. We're getting ready to go into our third and final game of the day between London and Enclave. Now, Resolve have already made it through to the finals. London and Enclave, the winner of this game, will make it in to both Telemasters and the grand finals for the UKLC. So a lot on the line here for both of these teams, and we've had a bloody good series so far, Jamada.
Yeah, it's been a really good series. London making the mid-game comeback in game one. Game two, not so lucky. Enclave just swung back and they hit like there was Mike Tyson. London did not really have almost a single opportunity really to actually put their foot in the door after that tragic early game.
Now, we have had a bit of a change this time around. London have selected red side. So this is the first time we've actually seen the team swap place for the entire day. All 5 games have been kind of teams just playing the same side. So Enclave now on the blue side. We did see pretty much the same picks and bans, although London shifted them up a little bit in that last game. So again, things are getting shifted up. Beely is going to lose his Lucian.
Yeah, that strikes me as weird. I don't know why you would ban it in phase 1, but I'll have to see. Maybe Enclave are worrying about something in particular. It could just say to me that Enclave are looking to pick up the Azir, whether it's B1 or just in the early rotations. So they don't want to have Beely just pick up that champion as a response into it. But honestly, I'd imagine Azir is not terrible in solution. You'd suffer a little bit in lane. You would feel a little bit of pressure, but London are just going to remove away the Azir. So we could just see Gragas first pick. That would be the first pick that comes to mind. It's been high priority for London 2 games in a row. And then, of course, you've got the center. So you think about those gems, but Udyr has slipped through. So, okay, interesting dynamic.
Well.
Yeah, it's Cleanser. Oh, no. Cleanser hasn't had Udyr since the 1 game that he played it. And
Double Flame Horizon. For anyone who wasn't here, Double Flame Horizon. It was the first dude that we had.
Absolutely. I don't think I can say that word on broadcast. He slapped about Harkart. It wasn't even. It was like Harkart's first game in the UKLC, and it's just like, yeah, you debut tomorrow, buddy. And that's basically what.
He might as well stayed on the fountain.
Yeah, he might as well stayed on the fountain. Now, London, they're going to respond with the Gragas. They're going to take that in kind. Now, will they pick up the center? Or will they take it away? Or will they prioritize the Kai'Sa more? But no, they actually want the Rel, which honestly, that makes a whole bunch of sense. You don't want to give over the likes of Udyr Rel in the same rotation. Now it just kind of comes down to how do Enclave want to respond? Do they want to pick up their support plus the AD carry of choice and just kind of handshake it and understand that London will take up the AD carry in the next rotation? Seems like that could just be the case. Hovering over the Kai'Sa for now, but okay, so we're going to take the Kai'Sa away. I think that's okay. Obviously, then Voxnay's most played champion this split has been that Kai'Sa. He's looked definitely far scarier on that champion than other champions, but it's not like the man's a one trick. So we'll have to see what's in store. For Sorex here, I would imagine we just see the Alistar come out unless they've got something else planned. Because you don't really have to show your hands on anything else unless they prioritize the Gnar high enough that they'll pick it up. But, ooh, yeah, okay, it was very late.
The Galio was, I was about to say that, was flexible, but no, they're not going to go for the Galio. They do want to make sure that they definitely get that Alistar, realizing that it could just get banned away.
Ooh, okay.
They're going to call their bluff on that.
So
what they're going to go for any carry is what you expect.
Yeah.
I mean,
now, there is one other pop. Ooh.
You were going to say?
Well, I was going to say there is another path where London could go down picking up their mid laner here and then really pinching Sykes' champion pool, because it seems to be Sykes. I don't want to say he's got a bit of a champion puddle, but it seems like his Azir is like up here, and then the rest of his champions are kind of just scattered all over the place. But then Voxnay on this vein, we should talk about it. It's a very, very strong one-to-one counter into the Kai'Sa. Kai'Sa can't really 1v1 the Vayne at most points in the game. The Vayne can also condemn away the headbutt pulverize combos in lane, so she should be relatively safe in this laning phase. And not only that, Enclave are really only working with like 1 point and click CC right now in the Udyr Bear slaps, which again, Vayne can relatively easily kite away from until, of course, Cleanser gets some of those movement speed items. So the Vayne, honestly, right here at the moment, is looking like a really nice pickup for then Voxnay, and we know how much he loves this champion. He wouldn't pull it out if he didn't feel like he was going to perform on it. So we're gonna have to see Yone and Olaf, and then also the Gnar removed away. Enclave, I don't know what their final ban can be. They might just look to remove away one more jungler, but Udyr doesn't really struggle into anything that's actually on the table. So honestly, it's up to them picking their ban for them.
I wonder if we're going to see Only Angel pick something a little bit more weak side instead of kind of the aggressive top lane as we've seen from him, like the Ornn, like the Maokai. Something that can actually just hard CC this Vayne, because that's the key thing about dealing with the Vayne is if you lock it down, it can't just kite around the edge and it can't just deal with you. So the point and click of the Twisted Advance could be enough to kind of deal with him. So we'll see if Only Angel opts out of that or if he goes typically back into what we see him on, things like the Aatrox.
Now, I do also want to highlight, I wonder if Sykes is going to pull out. He's had Rumble consistently banned away from him. That's one champion. Another champion also to potentially think about is maybe Twisted Fate. Maybe this is the game where you pull out the TF just because you need the point and click CC.
Yes.
You've got a very strong bottom laner, but for now, it seems like, I mean, this is near enough point and click CC if you can just press your R key on Vayne. It's
pretty wide.
It's pretty wide. So okay, that's gonna be the choice of mid laner. I think it makes sense, obviously, into the Orianna in isolation. And all of the other champions on London right now are definitely in operating range of the Syndra. So I think it's definitely a fine pick. It's pushed them pretty heavy into magic damage, so they're going to need a physical damage source out of the top lane. Aatrox is probably fine. I think with the Aatrox pick, London are in a bit of a hole here, because if they send the Gragas into the jungle, Udyr's going to outpace him. If they leave Merp on the Gragas, yes, he's still going to be Gragas, but Only Angel probably gets a free laning phase. So they're going to have to pick between who they prioritize kind of losing less. I would imagine that the Gragas ends up, honestly, in this pinch of a jungle pool, Gragas might end up in the jungle when we see a top lane pick. Yeah, I think it just makes too much sense. London in a position where they can't go any further down the jungle tier list, otherwise they just kind of lose. There's nothing left up that can match the Udyr, with the exception of maybe the Lilia, but even then Lilia feels pretty bad to play in this game, I feel like. So this is going to be our composition, Jake. I'm liking what Enclave are rocking so far.
Yeah, I really do, actually. I do like Merp on the Volibear, though. I think
Yeah.
probably been, in recent weeks, one of his best performing champions
Agreed.
when he's locked that in. So I actually do like this pickup for him. He had a pretty good game last game as well. No, he had a rough game last game. Sorry, I'm been an idiot. But Only Angel, I think Only Angel's had a pretty solid series. I think about his
Game
Aatrox
one.
in game number 1. Even when
Yeah.
they lost, he was doing so much work on that
A lot
champion.
of work.
I do worry for London that if Demvoxney is just constantly getting CC'd, and it's quite hard for him to kite through the Syndras, through the Syndra orbs, through the bear slap, which is just point and click basically, through just the Kai'Sa kind of kiting and also matching you on that kite ability, but also just doing so much damage. I do worry for Demvoxney, but
Yeah.
But the big but, you have got the rails, you have a CC bot to frontline for you, you have the Gragas to kind of spread the team fights out. You've got the Orianna ball as well to shield you and provide massive engage and massive follow-up engage. If Demvoxney is left alone, like he was in game number 1, this is the perfect champion for him. Late game, Demvoxney will be doing so much work. So we need to see Demvoxney get challenged from Enclave. And on the side of London, we need to see Demvoxney protected. This is really protect the president.
Yes, it really is now. I'm also just kind of looking over the comps and how I feel about some of the 2v2s in isolation and things along those lines. It's not looking too pretty across the board for a lot of these. I think that London, in terms of like early game, their best shot is maybe playing towards the Volibear for the first sort of 4 or 5 minutes. You try and lay down some vision on the side of London on the bottom side to sort of prevent any cheesy early ganks from Cleanser, but priority is only really going to be in the top side for Volibear potentially. Even then, I've seen Aatrox win this lane a handful of times. I think on the top side, it's like a 45 to 55 in favor of Enclave at best for London. And other than that, they kind of just lose skirmishes everywhere else. So they are really heavily relying on the scaling here.
Yeah, they really are. Now, we are into the game. Teams are on the rift and we get ready to go for game number 3. Remember, stakes for this game. London and Enclave both have a win. Winner is out. Winner is into finals and as into the Telia Masters. Loser, unfortunately, their run here at the UKLC comes to an end.
Yeah. And for Enclave, what a devastating loss it would be. The first time they've made it into playoffs in this format. And honestly, the first split, it feels like in a very long time that they've found some form of success domestically here. Since, well, it feels like 2018, if I want to say. So a win here would feel so important for Enclave. And I mean, even London last split made a valiant effort in terms of roster building, saying that they wanted to just promote into the LEC come spring 2021. Of course, that roster did not perform to expectations, but at least this time the opportunity to make it to Telia. So much on the line, not just for the players, but actually just the organizations in terms of wanting to find success to their own sort of levels of expectations that we've heard from them in short term for London, long term for Enclave. No level 1 shenanigans, I think. Key thing to note.
I love our Alistair skin.
It's pretty cool. I still, cow about Alistair. Just it just does something for me,
I know. We've had it for a while. It was time for something new.
It was. But,
I actually like the skin line in general.
Yeah, it's a really cool skin line. But Cleanser starting off on the top side, he's gonna really out pace PFI here on the Gragas. You can see already on his third camp, whilst PFI still finishing up chickens. So honestly, by the time PFI is crossing over to the bottom side, Cleanser might be crossing over too. So yeah, I mean, you can already see he's done with Wolves. So already Cleanser a camp up, just the power of the Udyr. And I'm really scared for London if this Udyr kind of goes unchecked. I mean, there is a lot of CC to deal with him, but will there be the damage? That's kind of the key thing, because of course, Udyr doesn't really build into offensive items. It's typically just damage items. So how unchecked will the Udyr go at disrupting the backline as Merp takes a tower shot?
Shield came in a little late there as well.
Yeah, not ideal. But fortunately for him, Cleanser has opted for the top to bot clear, so he is going to be on the bot side, not going to be forced into a very uncomfortable position where his wave is kind of frozen outside the tower. You have Cleanser there to kind of dive him. And in fact, he's going to make this wave crash. Only Angel trying to hold a freeze. Merpillion very cutely trying to force Only Angel to back away, but Only Angel holds his ground, so the wave is going to be stuck here. It's a pretty awkward position, and curiously, Cleanser's actually recalling. He's not going to go for this bot fight.
Clear. So
yeah, he's finished his entire clear.
Not willing to contest with his bot lane shoving.
Yeah, no priority.
So he's just going to go for the topside crab and keep his pacing up. Now, that Krog's camp hasn't been reset yet, so it's still level 1 Krog camp for PFI. Sykes has to be careful here. He could be on the receiving end of a flash belly box.
Oh, it's too late.
Low. Sykes needs the flash, but it's not going to be enough. First blood to Beely. Sykes just disrespectful with the flash there.
Yeah, very disrespectful. You have to flash early, as now we have an engage on the bottom side. Condemn comes through.
Yeah, they do lock Sorix in place for a bit. Sorix able to continue this one now. Crab secured by Cleanser, so he doesn't lose out on that one, and he's just going to continue his farming. He's got his counts to be spawning up as he moves just downwards, and this is what you expect from the Udyr. While PFI has to go do his Krugs on their first spawn still.
Yep. Still has to go and do his first clear. And with that in mind, Cleanser's just going to have another linear path all the way back down to bot side, so he's happy. Just farming up. Of course, we're not on the nerfed jungle, so I mean, these clears still pretty useful as, ooh, nice double headbutt pole combo. Sorix being turned into his teleport as well.
Yeah, Sorix is running away. The flash comes in from Voxney. Jepe's the one to get the kill.
No.
Now it's Beely trying to find the kill onto Jepe. Jepe jumps almost under tower. Not sure how he didn't get hit by that one. And then Voxney will secure the kill.
That is bad news bears for Enclave. That is then Voxney picking up 1 kill, almost had a double. The kill actually picked up by the Ignite Buzz. Flash forward from Cleanser, Beely.
There you go.
Okay to escape.
Sykes, if you're watching, that is what you were meant to do when you got gacked earlier. Just flash.
This play could potentially be turned into a dragon. You can see the wave is actually frozen for then Voxney, but it's priority on the bottom side for Cleanser. But he's going for the Krugs for now. Just see a very nice headbutt pulverized combo, but it's turned around. All of the damage is returned. Press the attack, the silver bolt, condemn into the wall, but unfortunately the final tick of Ignite takes the kill for Hepe. And then Beely teleported down pretty early into this fight. Not sure if he was entirely needed, to be honest, but it doesn't really matter. It's about securing the resources. Well, then Voxney is even going to make it back down in time to pick up this big, massive wave crashing under the tower. Mid laner's trading HP. But Sykes critically, he's got those 2 corrupting pots ticking. He's not going to be fully out of mana, but it's not ideal. And now Enclave, because Cleanser actually elected to recall and not go for this dragon take, they feel a little bit awkward about stepping further forward, so they're going to have to sacrifice some CS here, some experience. Cleanser really playing for himself on the CS side of things. Looking for camps to steal away now on the top side before he likely returns to his own jungle.
Yeah, actually going in
ping onto the top side.
Krug invade, but Blast goes over the wall and he will get found out by PFI, so we need to move up towards his top side where Cleanser has got the smite. Can he get it away in time? Yes, he can. Steals away the big ones, and Merc can't really do much about that.
Yeah, PFI is actually level 6 ahead of Cleanser, but of course you have to note Cleanser's about to pick up the Skull Crab, and then he's going to have another linear path all the way back.
I think that was assist experience, is what I'm assuming.
Yeah, most likely. Most likely. Once Cleanser picks up that crab, I imagine he'll be level 6. That's the case. And now, if he clears his entire jungle all the way back down, he'll most certainly hit level 7. So he is very much on pace. He's not bullying PFI like what we saw. The last and only time we saw Cleanser on that champion as, ooh, Only Angel's going to find a nice trade here.
Yeah, maybe could have held that last Archon Blade to get a bit more bonus damage onto Merp now. Just going to get the extra damage in. Has gone for that Doran's Ring start, which we do see a lot of volley bears do. Mana costs are quite high on the champion, but also the early AP damage and the shielding you get, really, really nice from the Dorans.
Yeah, because the Dorans also pushes you into the adaptive damage as well. Volibear has quite a few abilities which just have magic damage or scaling in them. Only
There
Angel.
it is. Stormbringer gets used. Only Angel pops his R, but oh my lord.
Ooh.
That bite did so much healing and so much damage. Meanwhile, they're getting zoned off their bot lane. Jeppe has to be a little careful as Cleanser is in the area, but I think Cleanser's a little bit more interested in doing his jungle camps.
Yeah, this is the jungler that you hate to have in solo queue, but at the same time, Cleanser can definitely carry the game off the back of what could potentially be a pretty big CS lead, but, you know, laners, we're not really for that in solo queue. Anyway, Cleanser farming for himself, he's going to be really strong. And even going to pick up the red buff and then look to reset. I'll have to see what he does off the back of this. We've got recalls coming down from Enclave on the bottom side. We'll see if they actually rotate out to the top side. Of course, we've seen that a lot out of UKLC teams when they want to play for Herald, but going to just return to lane, looking for a full map reset. But ping's actually coming down onto the Rift Herald here, so it looks like they're going to just send Sorex up. We're just going to see what is closer to a more traditional Herald setup, where the support comes up in tandem with the jungler. Sykes could actually have numbers advantage forced into his lane. They get priority, and they dip into Fog, and they sort out the Herald take. Because for now, London are more interested in just securing resources than Voxney.
Wait, hold on. Did Cleanser take the blue buff?
Yes, he did.
Because Beely, he did.
Yeah.
Look at this guy. Now, there is a problem for Impulse.
Okay.
On the minimap, there is a lot of red circles on the bottom side of the map, and there are not many blue ones. So
Now-
he's going to have to step away, and Denvoxy's just farming free plates while Impulse can't even step up. Level 6 onto Denvoxy. Impulse knows that Jeffe's in the area.
Wow. Yeah.
This is the problem when you do just sacrifice that tower. Now, Zoix is making his way over, but that's free plates. Denvoxy has 2 levels over Impulse right now. Impulse only just hitting that level 6 mark.
Yeah.
And a massive CS lead for Denvoxy.
4 level massive CS lead. And, you know, in another series, I'd maybe be like, okay, that's not the worst thing in the world to happen. You know, you traded some plates on the bottom side. It's not ideal when you take a Herald, but you know you're going to at least try and return the gold back. And normally when you talk about Herald pickups, you want to not sacrifice that base 360 gold worth of value. And of course, you try and not lose much XP for it. But this is London. This is then Voxney on a signature champion in the
Jeppe. Oh,
okay, he's okay. He's fine.
Zorax actually pops the trample, gets the headbutt pole, and now Jeppe can take a lot of damage. Has to use that Magnus Storm defensively.
Then Voxney's on his way.
Looking for the attractive does catch it on. Den Voxney now joins into the fight. Impulse is taking so much damage. That's a flashback, but Den continues the chase. Here comes the teleport. Here comes Cleanser. But Den Voxney's already found himself the double kill. Sykes joins in. The Predator's on. The attract, the repel. Everything's being led to keep Den Voxney alive. And this is why you protect him. He is getting a triple kill at the end of that one, and London just completely outplay Enclave.
Honestly, Hepe, it looked like he was inning at the start of that fight, but hats off to you. You set up then Voxney, your AD carry, for all of the kills, and he had Kraken Slayer before that fight, so like, can we get a toggle on the goal? Because this man is about to be rolling in the money. He's got 1.5 thousand gold. He's picking up plates here. He's denying more XP. London are even looking for a potential redive onto Sorex, who's now found himself underneath the tower.
He's not even 6.
He's not 6. He doesn't have the ultimate available. He's gone. He's going to die.
Gonna try and get the teleport out there, but Impulse now jumped onto by Merpillion, and now the Shilling Smites, now the slows, and Impulse, it has gone tragically wrong for you as he goes down. Cleanser speeds his way in with the chem tank, but Merp's too strong. And this is literally a complete flip on what we had in game number 2. Is now only Angel's getting caught out.
He doesn't even have World Ender.
They're just falling apart.
That's just going to be a free pickup. Okay. If he hit that sweet spot and he got a little bit of extra healing, maybe. But I was saying before all of that mayhem occurred in the bottom side as Enclave, they're going to look to try and trade at least something back after the tragedy that just occurred on the bottom side of the map. Then Voxney was already getting gold and plates. They're looking to try and take the full tower. It's a possibility. It's not unreasonable as, Hepe...
Big Magnet Storm.
Yeah.
Here comes the teleport from Beely, and the charge is going to go down. That will be the tower not falling.
Ooh, very close. Very close. Of course, when you've got the plates and the armor still up, the Rift Herald deals slightly less damage, but let's just get a look at this. The style of the fight. So it's just Hepe looking for a potential long con flank. But Enclave, I don't know, they've just got a mystic wall on the side of their desks or something. They recognize Hepe is there, but then look at the flash forward. Once then Voxnay's in range, a double stun just to set up then Voxnay to run these members of Enclave down. Flash forward on to Impulse. And honestly, RNG doing wonders for then Voxnay. Constant crits coming down. But it doesn't matter. He dodges away from that Scatter the Wiki, dodges away from the bear stab. The cast separates the remaining members of Enclave away from Den Voxnay. Den Voxnay pretty much free to clean up house. And he picks up 3 kills off the back of this play. Hepe basically setting up London for the remainder of this game for success. The redive comes down because, honestly, Enclave, they're lost. They don't know where they want to be with so many members still remaining on the bottom side. Impulse loses his life again. The wave, the tower, all of the experience gone. London find themselves in such a beautiful position where Voxnay has so much gold, so much resources. A nice Scatter the Week there, but no one
Big
really
thing.
there to follow up right now.
Sykes has no flash.
Oh,
Shockwave came out from Beely a moment ago while we're in that replay.
Yeah.
Sykes burnt his flash, instantly burnt it. So that's now flashless Syndra, and it honestly just looks like Enclave is just falling apart. Like,
there's nothing. It's so near unplayable at this point in the game. Like, then Voxnay is gonna be approaching 2 items really soon, before 20 minutes.
oh, Sykes, you're
Like,
dead.
doesn't have flash. Don't think Hepe has enough movement speed to catch up with him. So, fortunately for him, he's gonna be all right as they're actually trying to turn some damage back in. I don't think they'll commit anything too crazy, but the scary thing about this is London, because Oriana's a champion that wants to stay mid, right? You've got
What is
quite a few
Sykes
major.
doing?
I don't know. It's just
Get out
so
of your tower, Sykes. he's literally baiting into that one bush.
okay. They look for a numbers advantage fight mid potentially, but Merpillion's here.
Yeah, they got
be
to
a
find that
45
stun
at
onto Beely, but Cleanser is slowed. He is stunned. He is
I-
caught out, and Sorex will lose his life. Actually able to
Okay.
survive as only Angel slides in, trying to make the hero
Then
play
Voxnay's
happen. But
here,
here
though.
comes Den Voxnay. Here comes the Vayne. The ulti's been popped. The unleashed power lands into Den Voxnay,
Yeah.
and he is able to do nothing. Now Merp's jumping forward. The big scatter of the week's just not enough, and Enclave are just fumbling this game.
You can understand the intent. You can understand the reasoning behind it, but they just don't have the damage. They don't have the CC. I mean, yes, they eventually pick up Hepe on the back side of the fight, but what does it matter if then Voxnay is able to rotate up from the bottom side of the map to the mid lane and still make it to the fight anyway? And here's the scary thing about this game in particular as well. You've got quite a few champions that would, in the mid lane, prefer to stay in the mid lane. You have champions like Victor. Oriana is another one of those champions where ideally, if she can just sit in the mid lane and solo lane for the entire game, she would love to do that. And they can just send Vayne to the side lane. Who on this enemy team of Enclave kills Vayne on the side lane? The answer is absolutely bloody no one. You'd have to
Not at
goon
this
squad.
point.
Not at this point. You have to goon squad. You have to send 4, 5, almost 5 members. I mean, right, I'm going a bit too far. You'd have to send at least 3 members to take down Den Voxnay on the side lane. And if Den Voxnay is on the side lane getting all of this solo XP, it means once London actually decide to, pull together as a 5-man unit and team fight, then Voxnay is going to just be miles ahead. You can already see he's 2 levels up on Impulse. And just for the record, Impulse just hit level 7, or 8, I beg your pardon, as Beely flashing away from this. Cleanse is going to follow through.
They can't even kill
No.
Beely when they CC him that hard. It is tragic. That is their one win condition right now, is find these picks and get this gold back into your pockets.
It's the only thing they can do, but it's just, whilst this gold lead is not the biggest gold lead we've seen in this series, the game state is the more important thing. It's just so one-sided. Herald's going to be dropped in the mid lane, just looking to secure some time up on the top side for Den Voxnay as he takes down that tower by himself. And honestly, Den Voxnay is on track to keep up in XP with solo laners. That's how much time he spent alone on the side lanes here. London managing their resources, honestly, to perfection for this kind of game, where you just want Den Voxnay to pick up all the resources and carry. He's 2.5 items. Impulse hasn't even finished 1. What do you do? If you're Enclave, there's
You hope
no little answer.
You hope you can find these picks. You hope you can find these turns. And that is it. They finally take themselves their tower in the top side in the mid lane. And once this bot lane tower goes down, Enclave at least matching towers. That is at least something.
Oh.
But now, the Night Hunter is on, and Den Voxnay will be able to run only Angel down here.
He has
Tries to get
R2,
the
and he's got
Strike
red
Breaker,
buff
but
and
PFI
PFI.
forces his flash.
Ooh.
And the World Ender. A lot used there by Only Angel just to survive those 3 members. And London now just get the free time on the mid lane because the resets are coming in for the rest of Enclave. And this could just be this tower going down. There's no real people able to defend this. So second tower for London in the mid lane. And, you know, it's a little frustrating to watch because game 1 and 2 was a lot better early from Enclave. It was a lot closer. But this just feels like the most one-sided affair because Enclave got too greedy. They got too disrespectful. And now they're playing into a 2-0 Volibear, a 2-0 Gragas, a 2-0 Orianna, and a 5-0 Vayne.
Yeah.
Who's taking the 3rd dragon for them as well.
Exactly. Now, if we are to play Devil's Advocate, Mountain Soul isn't the most oppressive dragon in the world to play against. However, in a game like this where, for example, Udyr is working off base damages, Syndra doesn't deal well with resists in general. Though, of course, itemization for mages is relatively, you know, it's favorable for them. The point is, a lot of these champions on Enclave don't like dealing with added resistances. So this is actually a game where Mountain Soul is going to feel a little more oppressive than it typically does. So it's going to be a bit of a pain, but to play Devil's Advocate for them, there's a lot of bounties sitting on the heads of London right now. If they can find picks, particularly then Voxnay obviously has the heftiest bounty of them all. As long as it goes on to the likes of Impulse, particularly, but I mean, at this point, Impulse is so far out of the game, maybe you just say, hey, give it to Sykes, Cleanser, or Only Angel. There's room for them to find some success in these fights, but it just feels like such a far-gone dream just because of how London's team composition is actually been put together. There's so many peel tools, so many disengage abilities, and it feels nearly impossible to get onto anybody.
I mean, when a level 9 support is getting caught out by a Syndra
And not dying.
and losing only half their health, you know it's doomed.
I mean,
I hate
Sykes
to
didn't
say
press
it
the
that
R key,
way.
but to be fair, I can at least still agree with the sentiment that Hepe probably should have died, but he doesn't. And Enclave trailing further and further behind, 3.5 minutes until the Soul Dragon spawns. It's not a comfortable position to be in. Impulse finally finishes up 1 item, but what does it matter when your AD carry is 3 levels down to the enemy AD carry? Then Voxnay is the same level as Only Angel, Cleanser, and Sykes.
Then Voxnay's now building towards that Bloodthirster as well, so...
Ah, man.
Thought he was hard to kill before? Even harder to kill now. This is kind of typical what we used to see on Vayne players. Back in the day, it was Blade the Ruin King, Guinzoos, and then they just go tank, like offensive utility items.
Yeah.
Those 2 items were enough for Vayne to spike. Similar with the Kraken Slayer and the Phantom Dancer. Obviously, AD carries now are so forced into just going as much crit as possible. Because that's how AD carry is. Every item's crit, apparently.
Yeah. I was going to say they're forced, but is it really forced if every item in the game gives them crit chance anyway?
Well, I miss Blade the Ruin King.
Then I say then Voxnay happy. Yeah, I get you what you mean.
Like,
I mean,
even Ezreal builds a crit item now. Like, that's how bad it is.
I mean, it's just because Triforce is not as good an item as... Okay, we could see an engage here. Cleanser!
I think... Okay, well, Impulse is just completely overstepping his mark there. There's the Magnet Storm. Here's the one-vote combo. Den Voxnay just untouched and able to free fire. Sorex taken out, and Den Voxnay gets himself a double kill.
Baron.
What was Impulse doing? He just walked into them.
I don't know. It's... Honestly, I think mentally for Enclave, the game might just be already over. As I know I would certainly be feeling this way. Then Voxnay and Co going to just take down this Baron now. Cleanser is the same level as PFI, and it seems like London have actually sniffed out the fact that Cleanser is still around. And there's no vision, and the blast cone's gone. He does have flash, but I mean, he's going to have to do it blind.
Oh, the shot. He puts the ward down. Cleanser, he's not getting in. Oh, that was the most mental boom flash I've ever seen.
All right, well, London, how are you going to do tomorrow is probably going to be the question on everyone's minds. As if the replay is just Udyr flashing, I'm not talking over it. Okay.
Oh, what is Impulse doing? Look. What?
I think this moment just deserves silence, really.
You know what? I think we have been pretty harsh to London, to Enclave, sorry.
Have we?
Yes.
Okay.
But, you know, I think it's slightly rightfully so. But I actually think what we should be doing is singing the praises of London, because
Absolutely,
my
yeah.
biggest criticism of them all split long is they've not been a very decisive team. We talked about how their mid game's normally quite weak. They normally are one of the longest game length teams we have in the league. And we've seen a couple of games from them where they've got ahead and they've shown us that decisiveness. We are seeing that in this game. We are seeing the London that I've wanted the entire split. The London that play a good early game. And sure, this is a very, very snowbally early game, but they play a good early game. And then from there, they actually do something with it. They don't just sit on their laurels and wait for Denvoxy to hit 6 items. They extend it. Now, that obviously is somewhat inflated by the fact that Denvoxy got so fed early. Like painfully fed. But even so, definitely what I want to see from London. And if they play tomorrow, you know, providing they win this game, if they play tomorrow versus Resolve,
Fair bet.
to the style they played game 1 and 2, they are going to get 3-0'd.
Yes, absolutely.
They are just there is no ifs or buts. Resolve just are better, and they're they're better at punishing you in these mid game lulls, which London fall. But if London play like this, we're going to be in for a really good series.
We could be, yeah. Honestly, we could be if we see this kind of decisive London. Yes, of course, the gold lead is gigantic. But at the end of the day, it's the principle of it. It's the fact that we've seen them have leads like this and then games stalemate out.
Why?
And what's up?
And Angel's just doing a full red side clear of London.
All right, yeah, sure, why not? But yeah, it's more about that. It's more the fact that we're finally seeing that level of decisiveness come out, regardless of the lead. And now, for London, they should just be able to open out all onto the top side of the map. They want to push up this mid lane any higher, I suppose they can, but even Impulse is trying to keep the wave on their side of the map for as long as possible. As Baron, yet to dissipate, I believe, gonna fizzle off right about now. And then at that point, with 5 members on the top side and the pressure from 2 super minion lanes, they should be okay.
How do you kill Denvoxy now? He's got
You don't.
Bloodthirster.
You can't.
He's
You
got
can't.
the stopwatch. He's got
you
the
just
mountain
can't.
soul.
You can't.
I genuinely think you're right. I don't
You
think
can't.
there's actually killing
There
any
is-
Denvoxy now.
Unless Denvoxy has a health condition occur mid-game.
Denvoxy has to giga sprint. Like, he genuinely... I
Unless
think out of Denvoxy making a terrible play, I genuinely don't think you kill him.
our man here has to have a heart attack and just stop moving. And that's about it. There's nothing else. He's got stopwatch, he's got both stuns, he's got ultimate. Look at the mountain shit. Like, it's too much.
He's got 3 levels.
Yeah,
The mountain
3 levels.
shield plus the Bloodthirster shield. He's almost as tanky as Jeppe at this point.
Scatter the weak didn't even touch his health bar. That's it. Oh, okay,
Here
engage.
comes the slam. Here comes the engage. It looks like London are looking to round this one out. Sorex will lose his life. A big scatter the week is there. And actually, they do slide in. But that is going to be the end of your Kaiser. And Denvoxy will just mop up the last member. Here's the ace. London have done it. London are going to the Telia Masters. And they're going to take Resolve on in our grand finals for the UKLC.
And what an exciting way to close out the series in the sense of London finally being decisive about their gameplay, and honestly, deservedly so. Going to Telia Masters are going to be one of our 2 seeds here. Depending on how tomorrow plays out, of course, yes, Resolve, it's a tough task, but if London could come in and they can be confident, it's not impossible. It's not impossible. Yeah. Resolve have shown even today that they are capable of overstepping bounds against a team that Eminem, yes, sure, weaker in the back end of the split, but a team that we, you know, I feel at the time rightfully said, likely our 2nd place team. So it's not unreasonable to say that they can punish Resolve's oversteps. But for London, a great result for them. They're finally sort of meeting the expectations that they wanted from last split here in this split of the UKLC.
Yeah, I think Enclave, they had a great game 2. They had a great start to game 1, and then game 3, it just crumbled. It completely crumbled. And on the side of London, we saw some growth. They maybe red side was the key all along, to be fair. They were blue side for the first 2 games. But yeah, they honestly, that vein from Denvoxy was disgusting. It was genuinely disgusting. He had a real corker of a series. But I mean, game 2 actually was pretty rough for him. But like I said in game 1, if you leave Denvoxney untouched, he will carry the game. And that time they tried to deal with him, and he got fed.
Yeah,
which was literally the opposite of what you wanted. Like the furthest thing for what you want is Denvoxney getting fed, and just a completely incredible game from everyone. Everyone who was only I think it was only Sorex who died. No, sorry, Jeppe who died on the side of London in the last game. It was just a whitewash. They look so solid. Genuinely, really good game there from London, and take it 2-1 all the way to the finals now to go versus Resolve. We actually have the support, the only person who died that game for the side of London, Jeppe, standing by. How you doing, mate? You right?
Come here, answer for your crimes.
How you feeling after that win, mate? Making it to finals.
I'm feeling pretty good. I'm actually feeling really good.
Yeah, I mean, that last game was very one-sided. You basically won from about 6 minutes in. Let's be real. When Denvoxney got fed. I want to talk a little bit about game 2 though, because game 2 was not so decisive. What happened there, mate?
I think we got a little bit debated of our own skills. We have had some scrims where it was fun to run around and fight early, and in this game, the only real way we could lose was if we lost these early skirmishes, and we lost the early skirmishes, and it was not the best game to play.
Yeah, and I want to talk about then from that, sort of mindset coming out of game 2 into game 3, especially in a best of series, right? Because best ofs can definitely affect how you feel, going game from game. You come into game 1, it's a close game, it's very hard fought, but you end up winning. Go into game 2, you get crushed because of the early game. What was the sort of the feel of the camp going into that final game? And then, of course, talking about Denvoxney's Vayne performance and unlocking that champion, because it is a champion that he's, he has historically played a lot, but he's not been able to pull it out much in the UKLC.
Yeah, we actually had some technical issues. I think that helped a lot. Just everybody kind of just focused on that and be like, how can I help with that? So I don't think we actually realized we lost unless we saw it on the score. So we were as ready as we were on going into game 1, and the Vayne pick, it's something I don't know if I can say it, but we have been crying for, the Russians have been crying for it for weeks, if not months, and we've always been a bit hesitating. We've always been a bit hesitating about it because it's but there's something that's better. So, but yeah, we still have some technical issues. So the Russian was yeah, we pick win here, and just overtalked the coach. So, I mean, it worked.
I mean, it did. I mean, that's typical AD carry, isn't it? They always want to play Vayne. Every AD carry does. So let's look towards tomorrow. You guys will be taking on Resolve in the finals. How are you guys feeling about that matchup? Resolve haven't dropped a single game so far. That's got to be pretty daunting.
I think it's actually just making us more motivated. Being the only team. Let's say that Resolve wins everything, they win Telemaster and the Go NLC and stuff. If we take one game of them, we can brag so much about it, right? But if we take 2 games, it's if just one thing went right, and even if we win, it's just gonna be a good time, right?
Awesome. Well, congratulations on your win. Good luck for your games tomorrow, and also good luck in Tele and Masters, mate. You finally made it. Congratulations. We'll speak to you soon. All right.
Yeah. Bye.
See you later, mate. Alrighty, well, Jamada, there were some plays. There were a lot of plays in that game, actually. So I think you're a little bit more spoilt for choice this time. But
I was very spoilt for choice.
Your favorite play. Show me what you've got.
We just had the man here, and very cheery interview. I do like speaking with Jeppe, and honestly, I think it's this ward. It's hard to tell because the red ward is actually over the blue ward here, so we can't actually see the timer. But now, in hindsight, I believe Enclave just knew Jeppe was chilling here.
They pinged it. They did actually see him.
Yeah, so they find him out. He W's away, and the vision actually means that Sorex wasn't initially able to go onto him, but he's in the demounted form and he's able to be run down. And this is what's really clutch from Jeppe here. So he actually waits to cast the stun, and he flashes away, and then it brings them both into range of being stunned up. And even though Jeppe actually does end up dying here, right? does end up... No, he doesn't even die. He's bought enough time for the Voxnay to come in, and that's the key, the important thing. And then once the teleports come down, it's like, okay, well, look at this. PFI is actually in hot pursuit. And not only this, the teleport now finally comes down. It's very slow, but it doesn't matter. It's enough. And you can see then Voxnay, he's actually flashed away, tumbled away from the Scout of the Week, and he moves away from Cleanser to not actually get bear slapped. And not only that, the cask then sends them flying away from Den Voxnay. And just mechanically, it was played well. The highlight, the sort of prioritization of keeping the Voxnay alive, making sure using the spells in the right orders was just chef's kiss. And off the back of this, Enclave, they want to return to lane, but there's nothing for them to really return to. The lane's already in ruins.
The game was already in ruin, let's be real from that point. It fell apart. Now, let's reverse time. Let's look back on all of the action we had today, because we had 2 best of series. Now, Resolve 1 was very one-sided versus M&M.
In scoreline.
Game 1 was closer.
Game 1 was actually, game 1 was closer, but I feel M&M, unfortunately, just not fully respectful. As you can see, Chimera was just shredding the backline of M&M. And, you know, fundamentally, the one of the biggest sort of Achilles heels of this team was, whilst yes, their team fighting was good and they would mechanically check a lot of the teams and come out ahead, when they weren't doing that and they looked far less cohesive, it would always be leaving T-Rex and Harry kind of on their lonesome in the back end of the fight, particularly because Zura was a very big criminal of that, diving forward when his team actually required peel from him. And at this point in the second game, M&M didn't really have much of a leg to stand on. They gave over the Udyr, they gave over the rail on blue side, and quite frankly, after the early game, it wasn't really enough. And Enclave here, honestly, this is a really one-sided fight for Enclave. London were not able to answer out to a lot of this front line here, and this was Enclave's game to win. And even after this fight, in my head, I was saying, all right, that's it. London have actually just dropped their first game to Enclave. We could be in for a 2-0 just because of how London were playing. But they turned it around, and then we got this game where London, I don't know, they must have drank something before this game and felt like a cherry, really.
It was a rough game from London, that one.
Yeah. But redeemed with this one.
Yeah, but then it just like it was like they woke up and they went, oh yeah, let's just stomp. It was a really, really stellar game from London to round out. But yeah, I think what we should do is look at what we got coming up tomorrow, because we have our finals for the UKLC. I can't believe it, Jamada. It's all done. But we'll be starting at 6 o'clock UK time. So normal time, as it is only one game, but it is, well, not one game, it's potentially 5 games. It's a best of 5 between Resolve and London. It's going to be a really, really big one. Now, Resolve, as they were first, do get side selection for game 1, 3, and 5, while London 2 will get 2 and 4. Yeah. So, yeah, we don't have side selection yet. I think that's coming in later tonight. But if I had to,
if I had to assume, I think Resolve will probably pick blue side.
Yeah.
Which fun stat, because I was looking at it during the regular split, just because of the way that the side selection works. Resolve actually ended up on blue side, I think 13 out of their 14 regular season matches.
Really?
Yeah, really fun stat.
I thought it was equal.
No, because the way that it worked this split was side selection is given to one of each team per round robin. So they just ended up on blue side a lot.
Fair enough. Yeah. Well, Resolve do favor that. Guys, thank you very much for joining us today for the UKLC. It's sad. It's genuinely sad that it's ending tomorrow. But we do have a best of 5, and I really hope we're in for a corker. Maybe it goes all the way to 5. Maybe Resolve go completely undefeated all season long. We'll have to find out. Make sure you tune at 6 o'clock tomorrow over on BBC iPlayer, BBC Sport, or twitch.tv/NLC LOL. Plenty of places to get all your action for the UKLC. And we'll see you tomorrow.